Chapter 21. Thunder Tree and Earth Armor Beast. March 18th. The rain finally stopped, and the warm sunlight once again bathed this primitive jungle. March 18th. In the morning, Jiang Xuan got up and carved today's date on the bamboo tube that recorded the days, along with a small sunny character beside it. After finishing the carving, he stretched lazily, put the bamboo tube away, and walked out of the bamboo house. At this moment, the orange-red sun had just risen from the mountain across the river, looking not dazzling at all and very beautiful. "Chief, can we go hunting in the mountains today?" Godin could not wait to ask Jiang Xuan. Jiang Xuan replied affirmatively. "The weather is nice today. We can go mountain hunting." "Great, I'll start preparing." Gotong excitedly went into the house to prepare hunting tools, and others were just as happy. Those rainy days were really hard to endure. Once the five had prepared their hunting tools, they carefully painted the Vine tribe's totem pattern on their faces, along with a horizontal stripe of red paint. This horizontal red stripe is the mark of the one-color warrior, a very important honor for the warriors. Everything ready, the five added large, durable wood to the fire pit, locked the bamboo house's door, and stepped into the southern jungle. After the rain, the forest air was particularly fresh, and even the smell of decaying leaves was diluted. To ensure a good harvest, they would adjust their hunting route every time, although the general direction remained unchanged. After 2 hours of walking, they arrived at a strange forest. Rustle, rustle. A fat green worm was munching on tender leaves on a big tree ahead. It's over 50 centimeters long, with eye-like patterns on its head, as large as a bowl, which looked quite intimidating at first glance. These worms can be eaten and are considered game, but Jiang Xuan and the others were not willing to waste effort on a worm after traveling so far. They still preferred prey, like the bighorn sheep. Screech! A large bird with a wingspan of 5 or 6 meters swooped down from the sky like lightning, snatched a big snake coiling on the tree, and flew away swiftly. The branches and leaves were still shaking, but the snake had already been taken away. Jiang Xuan had seen too much of this. His heart was untouched, while he remained vigilant of the surroundings, searching for huntable prey with his eyes. He stepped over a thick, old vine, and after a short walk, saw a patch of strange big trees. Underneath these big trees were many scattered round fruits, each about the size of a soccer ball. But strangely, every fruit was incomplete, as if it had been exploded. Moreover, Jiang Xuan found numerous beast bones scattered under the trees, some already rotted, and some still quite sturdy. "What is this?" Jiang Xuan randomly picked up half of a fruit and found it hollow with no pulp or seeds inside. Qi Shao walked to Jiang Xuan's side and said, "This is a thunder fruit." Thunder fruit. Jiang Xuan looked at Qi Shao in confusion, not understanding why it had such a name. Qi Shao pointed at a big tree. Hunting team calls this tree Thunder Tree, and its fruits are called Thunder Fruit. Every year, Thunder Fruit trees are full of various sizes of fruits, and when they mature, any beast passing beneath the tree may cause the mature fruits to fall and explode, killing the beast. The explosion sounds like thunder, so the hunting team calls them Thunder Fruits. Qi Shao pointed at the scattered bones on the ground. These are the beasts killed by the explosion. Jiang Xuan looked at the thunder fruit shell in his hand, amazed by Qi Shao's explanation. This world has so many strange and bewildering plants. Qi Shao continued, "I've also heard from the hunting team about a beast that lives under thunder trees called Earth Armor Beast. These Earth Armor Beasts have tough scale armor, sharp claws, are very skilled at digging holes, and are quite cunning. They like to dig holes underground to steal the exploded beasts from thunder trees." Qi Shao searched the surrounding ground and soon dug out an earthen hole from among the fallen leaves. But this hole was covered with moss, clearly in use by Earth Armor Beasts for a long time. This must be a hole dug by an Earth Armor Beast. But as the thunder tree hasn't borne fruit yet, they aren't here for food. Jiang Xuan used the bone plow to dig and uncover a segment of the hole, indeed finding some leftover beast bones inside, with clear tooth marks on them. This discovery piqued Jiang Xuan's interest, and he planned to return in the fall to witness the thunder fruit explosion and the earth armor beast that loves stealing beast corpses. Let's dig up some saplings. When the thunder fruits explode, their seeds scatter far and wide. If landed in suitable spots, they can take root, sprout, and grow into another thunder tree. Therefore, where thunder trees grow, one often finds many small saplings. Jiang Xuan intended to build a defensive line with dangerous plants around the tribe, and thunder fruits made a good choice. Though they only act in the fall when the fruits mature, their power remains formidable. I'll do the digging. Goting volunteered to dig up the saplings, much to Jiang Xuan's delight. They dug up a total of 8 thunder tree saplings, all with roots and soil intact, enhancing survival rates and ensuring quicker recovery once planted. After finishing with the saplings, Jiang Xuan circled the forest, finding intact sheep and deer horns, along with some beast bones yet to decay, suitable for crafting bone tools. These horns and bones were valuable to the tribe and never went overlooked when found. Finished collecting horns and bones, the group continued their search for prey and edible plants. By noon, Jiang Xuan shot a flightless large bird with an arrow, and the 5 had a feast. After eating their fill, they proceeded onwards. They found edible tuberous plants and wild vegetables, which Jiang Xuan dug up to cultivate. The vine tribe's current variety of grains and vegetables was limited, so Jiang Xuan seized every chance to expand the options. As they arrived in front of a small mountain, Qi Shao suddenly pulled Jiang Xuan into a bush to conceal them both, signaling the other 3 youths to hide as well. What happened? Jiang Xuan asked in a low voice. There's someone ahead. Qi Shao's expression was serious, tinged with some nervousness. They had been worried about encountering people from other tribes, and now their concern became reality. Jiang Xuan followed Qi Shao's gaze, observing closely, and indeed noticed something amiss. At the mountain's base, there was a somewhat concealed rock cave, its entrance stacked with large, dry branches, evidently placed by humans. Additionally, faint smoke wafted from the cave, unnoticed if not scrutinized carefully. Goting whispered from behind, "Chief, what should we do now?" Shi and Nan Xing also gazed at Jiang Xuan, and even Qi Shao watched him without speaking. As the Vine tribe's chief, Jiang Xuan had to stand up and make a decision at this moment. Jiang Xuan pondered for a while and said, "Let's first hide in a tree, observe how many people there are, and then decide." Everyone nodded in agreement, carefully climbing a tall, dense tree to conceal themselves among the branches, observing the cave from afar. Chapter 22, Are You Willing to Join the Vine Tribe? Under the low jungle mountain, in the cave, a dozen tribespeople in tattered grass skirts gathered around a fire, their eyes devoid of any hope. Among them, many were sallow and thin, clearly often going hungry. Only one middle-aged man was relatively robust, but he had lost his left arm, greatly reducing his combat power. One of the women squatted on the ground, hugging her knees, and said, "Over 100 tribesfolk fled, and now only a few of us are left. If this continues, we won't survive either." The others, hearing this, had a look of bleakness in their eyes. They were a group of people who had lost their tribe, and without the protection of a tribe, they couldn't survive long in this barbaric jungle. The one-armed middle-aged man was silent for a moment, then struggled to comfort. There will always be a way. A man stood up, opened his hands in despair, and said, "We've heard that enough. If we had known it would be like this, we might as well have stayed in the tribe and died with our people." 2 women began to sob quietly, not daring to cry out loud, biting their arms in suppression. Some leaned against the cave walls, their eyes vacant as they stared at the cave's rocky ceiling. The one-armed middle-aged man stood up. The oppressive environment was too much. It drove despair, and he wanted to go out for some air. Stepping outside the cave, the post-rain air was fresh, and looking at the sprouting vegetation, the sense of oppression in his heart eased slightly. But he didn't know, not far from the cave in a tree, 5 pairs of eyes were watching him. In the thick tree, Jiang Xuan turned his head to look at Qi Shao, whispering, "It seems they went through something similar to us, fleeing from tribal warfare." The arguments from the cave earlier were too loud. Those tribespeople in a state of collapse were shouting hoarsely, so Jiang Xuan and the others heard it very clearly. Qi Shao also looked at Jiang Xuan and whispered, "Yes, they're all wanderers. Wanderers are those who have lost their tribe. They roam the primitive jungle like lost souls, some lucky enough to join other tribes, others less fortunate, dying in the jungle due to various accidents." Jiang Xuan and his group were very lucky. They found the ancient vine at Stone Mountain, settled under the bamboo grove, and even established a small tribe. These wanderers were quite unlucky. Due to various accidents, over 90% of them died along the way. Qi Shao seemed to guess Jiang Xuan's thoughts and said, "Do you want to take them in?" Jiang Xuan pondered carefully for a moment and said, "Let's observe them first, find out their situation." Though the Vine tribe really lacked people, taking in wanderers carried risks. If they ended up taking over, it would be a problem. Therefore, it was very important to understand the situation of these people. Then let's observe them some more. The group crouched in the tree, watching the one-armed middle-aged man pace around the cave entrance. Before long, others came out of the cave. Though the situation was dire, with scattered spirits, meals still needed to be eaten, and no one wanted to starve to death. They dug up some wild vegetables near the cave, caught some easily caught big insects, and set a few simple snare traps to catch some small prey as food. Of course, since they didn't dare to go too far, the food gathered was limited. After dividing it among the dozen wanderers, they could only ensure they didn't starve. Getting full was out of the question. In the afternoon, Jiang Xuan and the others returned to the bamboo grove because spending the night in the primitive jungle was too dangerous. Over the next 2 days, Jiang Xuan continued observing these wanderers, determining their numbers and combat strength. After observation, Jiang Xuan found that there were 12 wanderers in the cave, and the one-armed middle-aged man should be a one-color warrior, while the others were ordinary people. In other words, their combat ability was very low, and even if they joined the Vine tribe, there wouldn't be a threat of them taking over. What truly made Jiang Xuan decide was an unexpected event on the third day. A severely injured wanderer died that day. The remaining 11 wanderers, despite being underfed, chose not to eat his body, but instead dug a hole and buried him. This act made Jiang Xuan decide to integrate these wanderers into the Vine tribe. In desperate situations, human malice is easily triggered. If there were a few ruthless and scrupulous people among these wanderers, in the face of food scarcity, the fresh corpse might have been eaten as meat. This barbaric world is very dangerous, with various habits across tribes. There are many non-cannibal tribes, and naturally, there are cannibal tribes as well. Jiang Xuan didn't want to take in wanderers from cannibal tribes. It was too dangerous. After gaining the agreement of Qi Shao, Go Tung, Shi Qiu, and Nan Xing, Jiang Xuan no longer hid and appeared directly in front of the cave, where the wanderers were temporarily residing. 5 one-color warriors, with totem patterns painted on their faces, appeared, and the remaining 11 wanderers in the cave instantly panicked. The one-armed middle-aged man bravely stepped out, tightly holding a stone spear, while the others nervously followed him, holding wooden spears, stones, and other makeshift weapons. 11 pairs of eyes fixed on Jiang Xuan and his group, but no one spoke, ready to fight at any moment. Besides the one-armed middle-aged man, Jiang Xuan felt no threat from these people because he was already a one-color warrior, much stronger than these dizzy and starving wanderers. Jiang Xuan said to the one-armed middle-aged man, "Don't be nervous. We mean no harm. We are from the Vine tribe, and we came to find you to rescue you." "The Vine tribe? Rescue us?" The one-armed middle-aged man looked at Jiang Xuan in confusion, hoping for an explanation. Jiang Xuan continued, "Yes, you're all people who have lost your tribe. If you cannot find another tribe to take you in, how long do you think you can survive in the dangerous jungle?" The one-armed middle-aged man was silent, and the wanderer's eyes dimmed. Jiang Xuan's words clearly struck their heart. "I don't like beating around the bush. If you are willing to join the Vine tribe, you can receive protection from our Vine God and the tribe's protection. You'll have a place to live, food to eat, clothes to wear, and no need to live in fear every day." Jiang Xuan's words made the wanderers' breathing become heavy because what Jiang Xuan described was exactly what they longed for. Having gone through hunger, cold, and living in constant fear, only then did they understand how important it was to have a tribe. Why should we believe you? The one-armed middle-aged man was cautious because Jiang Xuan looked too young, and although those with Jiang Xuan were also one-color warriors, they were similarly young. Jiang Xuan naturally retorted, "Do you have any other choice?" The one-armed middle-aged man remained silent. Although he was also a one-color warrior, he had already lost an arm, and facing 5 one-color warriors, there was no chance of winning. If Jiang Xuan and his group decided to take them by force and drag everyone back to the Vine tribe, the one-armed middle-aged man could only resist symbolically. The other wanderers were not stupid. They understood their predicament but still said nothing, instead looking to the one-armed middle-aged man, hoping he would make a decision. At this moment, Qi Xiao spoke up. "It's your luck that the Vine tribe is willing to take you in. If you stay here, none of you will survive." Jiang Xuan seized the moment to interject. "Our patience is limited. You'd better make a decision soon. If you don't want to join the Vine tribe, we'll leave immediately, and you can stay here to fend for yourselves." Upon hearing this, the wanderers panicked, not wanting to miss the chance to be taken in by a tribe. Jiang Xuan observed their reactions and then said, "I'll ask one last time. Do you want to join the Vine tribe?" The one-armed middle-aged man struggled internally for a long time, then looked back at the hopeful faces of the wanderers, and finally, gritting his teeth, said, "We are willing to join the Vine tribe." Jiang Xuan breathed a sigh of relief. He had been really worried these people would be stubborn and unwilling to join a Vine tribe. After that, things were simple, having the wanderers pack up briefly, giving them something to eat, and then taking these wanderers straight to the Vine tribe. Chapter 23. Those who do not work shall not eat. Outside the bamboo forest, the 11 new wanderers were left speechless by the immense stone mountain and its ancient vine. Their awe grew even more indescribable when Jiang Xuan informed them that the ancient vine was the totem god of the Vine tribe. However, when they saw that this so-called Vine tribe consisted only of a single bamboo house and 5 people, they were greatly disappointed. Is this the Vine tribe? Could it be a hoax? Jiang Xuan understood their thoughts well, and to impress these wanderers, he directly took them to the base of the stone mountain, in front of the yellow mud altar. During this year's ritual, the vine god manifested a divine miracle. "Look, that ferocious large bird was brought down from the sky by the vine god, its entire body of flesh and blood offered as a sacrifice." The 11 wanderers gazed at the massive bird's skeleton and its broken bones, feeling a greater fear and reverence for that powerful and mysterious ancient vine. The enormous ancient vine seemed truly sentient, suddenly bursting with endless green light, enveloping the entire stone mountain, including the bamboo forest. An indescribable oppressive aura descended, leaving the wanderers with their mouths agape, their legs weak, and their bodies trembling. Jiang Xuan also froze for a moment, but he quickly recovered and timely shouted, "Since you wish to join our vine tribe, why not worship the vine god upon seeing it?" Thud! One wanderer was the first to kneel down, and others followed suit, kneeling one by one. The ancient vine's divine manifestation was overwhelmingly powerful to the tribe's people. All the wanderers knelt down, touching their foreheads to the ground, trembling as they kowtowed to the ancient vine. A tender vine rapidly grew, splitting into 11 branches, extending over the heads of these wanderers. At each branch's tip, a tiny drop of green liquid condensed and then fell onto each wanderer's head. The green liquid absorbed into the wanderers' bodies, making them shiver all over, feeling their fatigue vanish and their weak bodies regain strength. The amount of green liquid they received was far less than what Jiang Xuan and the others had received initially. Hence, these wanderers couldn't directly become warriors. But their physical conditions improved markedly, with much more vital energy and blood than before. Soon, the vine retracted, and the green light gradually subdued, with the ancient vine coiling quietly as usual. However, Those wanderers' eyes lit up with fervor. What does it matter if there are few people in the vine tribe? What does one bamboo house matter? As long as they have the ancient vine's protection, they can survive in the treacherous primitive jungle. This very simple wish to survive made them decide to stay and become people of the vine tribe. It's getting late. You should stay in the bamboo shelter for a night and build new bamboo houses tomorrow. Jiang Xuan led the wanderers back to the bamboo house, letting them temporarily stay in the simple bamboo shelter built before. Having witnessed the vine god's miracle and received its blessing, the wanderers no longer opposed Jiang Xuan's arrangements. Because Jiang Xuan is the leader of the vine tribe, Qi Xiao silently watched Jiang Xuan's performance. She was once again sure that choosing Jiang Xuan as the leader was the right decision. She certainly couldn't do as well if she were the leader. After helping the wanderers light a bonfire and providing them with food, Jiang Xuan returned to the bamboo house and closed the door. Sitting by the hearth, Jiang Xuan said to the others, "These wanderers have just arrived and aren't trustworthy yet. For the next few days, we'll take turns on night watch to prevent any incidents." The four of them nodded, knowing that trust takes time to build, and in the dangerous primitive jungle, the cautious survive longer. That night, nothing unexpected happened, but everyone's hearts were restless. The next morning, Jiang Xuan rose early and, upon opening the door, found the wanderers silently waiting at the doorstep. Jiang Xuan asked, puzzled, "What are you doing here?" The one-armed middle-aged man said, "We're waiting for the leader to arrange today's tasks." In their despair, these wanderers had found hope, and each was full of vigor, rising before dawn out of fear that Jiang Xuan would deem them lazy and expel them. "What's your name?" Jiang Xuan asked. "The leader can call me Song." The one-armed middle-aged man said, "Though I've lost an arm, I'm still a warrior. Having received the vine god's benevolence yesterday, I can still hunt for the tribe." Jiang Xuan observed the 11 wanderers, noting there were 8 men and 3 women, ranging from their teens to 20s and 30s, all young and strong workers. Only the strongest and healthiest could have survived hunger, cold, and various dangers to make it here. Jiang Xuan then looked at the one-armed middle-aged man, saying, "Song, we'll discuss hunting later. The most important thing right now is to build a few bamboo houses that can shield you from the elements." "But what about food?" Song, clearly scarred by hunger, recalled how tribes usually had no food reserves at this season, especially a small tribe like the Vine tribe. A day without hunting or gathering meant hunger. However, Jiang Xuan smiled confidently. "Don't worry. Since the Vine tribe dared to take you in, we definitely won't let you go hungry." Jiang Xuan pointed to the fish pond in front. "See the fish in the pond? They're all ours, and you can eat them whenever you want." Song followed Jiang Xuan's finger, noticing the pond indeed teeming with fish. Jiang Xuan then pointed inside the bamboo house. "See the smoked meat hanging above the hearth? Even if we don't hunt, it's enough to last us for a while." Song looked in the direction Jiang Xuan pointed, spotting large chunks of meat curing above the bamboo house hearth, even catching a whiff of the meat's aroma from outside. Gulp! One unknown wanderer swallowed hard, followed by several others doing the same. Jiang Xuan's face brimmed with confidence as he pointed to the vast farmland. "These fields were cultivated by us. All the plants in them are our food reserves." Song and the wanderers were utterly awestruck. They initially thought with so few people, the Vine tribe would have meager food, preparing for a life of inconsistent meals as before. No one expected that this tiny tribe of 5, with a powerful totem god, would have such ample food supplies. But Jiang Xuan deliberately drew out his speech, catching the attention of the wanderers. The 11 wanderers tensed up, waiting for Jiang Xuan to speak. Jiang Xuan continued, "Though the Vine tribe is small, not just anyone can join. These foods won't be given to you for free either." The wanderers' hearts sank upon hearing this, fearing Jiang Xuan might propose harsh conditions. Jiang Xuan said the Vine tribe's rule is, those who don't work, don't eat. Put simply, you do as much work as you eat, as we don't support idlers in our tribe. Song secretly breathed a sigh of relief and assured Jiang Xuan, Rest assured, leader, if anyone slacks off, you won't have to intervene. I'll personally whip them. Jiang Xuan nodded. Additionally, although the Vine tribe has taken you in, it doesn't mean you're already members of the tribe. Jiang Xuan gestured around. Everything here was painstakingly created by us and won't be just given away to anyone. However, as long as you work diligently and remain loyal, by winter, I'll consider making you full tribe members. If anyone undermines the tribe before then, I won't be lenient. After Jiang Xuan's speech, the wanderers nodded in agreement. Though young, Jiang Xuan's strength and status were evident, and his maturity in speech and action left no room for underestimation. Seeing he'd achieved his goal, Jiang Xuan relaxed slightly. Now, let's eat something and prepare to build the bamboo houses. Jiang Xuan and Qi Xiao took out some dried meat and roasted plant tubers, letting the wanderers fill their bellies before energetically starting to cut bamboo and construct the bamboo houses. Thanks to the book friend Bale for the reward of 10,000 book coins, congratulating this friend for becoming the first helm master of the book. Qingshi expresses gratitude. Chapter 24, Finding Salt. 5 days later, 3 bamboo huts rose from the ground, finally giving those wanderers a place to stay, no longer like before, homeless and living in daily fear. This was also thanks to Jiang Xuan and the others becoming warriors, which increased their strength. It only took burning off the bamboo's outer skin before quickly chopping it down with a stone axe, saving a lot of time. These 3 bamboo huts were built a little farther from the bamboo forest because Jiang Xuan temporarily didn't trust these wanderers and didn't want to live too close. Additionally, Jiang Xuan also built them a bathroom and toilet, and insisted they refrain from defecating or urinating anywhere, and must bathe regularly, otherwise they'd be covered in lice, which was too terrible. Since they had come to the Vine tribe, they must follow the rules of the Vine tribe. Jiang Xuan didn't want to leave these wanderers with the impression that he was easy to talk to. A leader who is too easygoing will cause his tribesmen to lose reverence, and when executing orders, they will likely cut corners. Using a combination of firmness and kindness is a necessary means for a leader. After solving the housing problem, Jiang Xuan started to make them work. By the creek, on the broad flatland, Jiang Xuan said to Song, "You don't need to hunt or gather. Your task is to clear this whole large area thoroughly and then turn it over with a bone plow." Song said anxiously, "There are so many of us, we consume a lot of food daily." Jiang Xuan understood what he meant. He was worried about starvation due to insufficient food. Don't worry about food. Since you are in our Vine tribe, you definitely won't starve. Song was resigned and could only nod. All right, we'll follow the chief's orders. By the way, did you encounter any other tribes on your way here? Jiang Xuan hadn't forgotten the smoke he saw earlier in the jungle, nor the sounds of hunting he heard. Initially, he thought it was caused by these wanderers, but upon further thought, he realized it was unlikely since these wanderers lacked the ability for large-scale hunting. Song thought for a moment and then affirmatively replied, "Yes." "What kind of tribe is it? Where are they located?" Song replied, "It's a migrating tribe that raises many terrifying large mosquitoes with wings that spread this wide." Song gestured, and Jiang Xuan estimated it to be about 30 centimeters wide. Considering that mosquitoes usually appear in groups, even wild cattle could be drained dry by these large mosquitoes in an instant. Thinking of this scene, Jiang Xuan drew in a cold breath. It was truly too terrifying. This tribe is very fierce. We had dozens of clansmen who wanted to join them, but were killed, so we fled here. Song's face showed a clear expression of lingering fear. "Do you know where they are residing?" Jiang Xuan asked again. Song shook his head and said, "When we encountered this tribe, they were still migrating. Later we fled for our lives and don't know where they went." Tribes that rely on hunting and gathering move periodically to obtain more sufficient food resources, rarely settling in one place. Jiang Xuan felt a lot of pressure because he didn't know where exactly this tribe had migrated or how far they were from the Vine tribe. How many people do they roughly have? At least a few hundred people. I'm not sure the exact number. I understand. You go ahead and work. Okay. Gonsong took the bone plow to do his work. They needed to remove and burn the grass, shrubs, and thorns in the wasteland, then turn over the soil and pick up the grass roots, tree roots, and stones. Land clearing is very labor-intensive work. Fortunately, the tribe people are always hardworking and dedicated. As long as there is food to eat, they have no complaints. Standing by the creek, Jiang Xuan felt heavy-hearted. A fierce tribe with hundreds of people presents a huge threat to the small vine tribe, easily destroying everything they've painstakingly built. Currently, there's no solution to this issue. Jiang Xuan only hopes that the tribe doesn't come here anytime soon or that the ancient vine is strong enough to protect the vine tribe. We must expand the tribe as soon as possible, or we're too vulnerable. Jiang Xuan clenched his fist, believing that given a few years, with his efforts, he could definitely grow this small tribe and not need to act so cautiously then. Go Tung, take Nanxing with you. Continue to fish using traps by the creek after clearing the grass and bushes, and keep an eye on these wanderers. Remember, only dig a pond on open ground. Don't go into places with dense vegetation or into waters that are too deep to avoid danger. Goting solemnly said, "Rest assured, Chief. We will be cautious." Gotung took Nanxing and walked toward the creek. Now, a section of the creek side had been cleared of vegetation, unlike before when it was overgrown. Jiang Xuan nodded and said to Qi Xiao and Shi Qiu, "Let's go into the mountains to find something." "Find what?" Qi Xiao asked curiously. "Salt. Salt." Qi Xiao's eyes widened. "Can you find salt?" Shi Qiu also looked shocked because salt is incredibly precious to tribal people. Jiang Xuan said, "The witch of my dreams told me of a method to find salt. I want to try and see if it works." Upon hearing this, Qi Xiao promptly stopped asking further questions, and Shi Qiu was the same. Tribal people have great reverence for the mysterious witch. No matter how incomprehensible a matter is, if the witch says it, it's acceptable. There is a reason Jiang Xuan chose this time to search for salt. Previously, they just arrived here and lived by hunting and gathering, supplementing salt by drinking animal blood and eating meat. When the tribe's population increases, relying solely on hunting and gathering is not feasible due to extremely unstable food sources, often dependent on luck. Farming and raising livestock are better and more stable ways to obtain food. But large-scale farming and raising livestock also face a major problem, which is the lack of salt. Though farming provides a lot of food, reduced meat consumption inevitably results in insufficient salt intake. Moreover, hard work involves profuse sweating, which accelerates salt loss. The eventual outcome would surely be the tribesmen falling ill en masse due to salt deficiency, making the tribe's development a pipe dream. Thus, Jiang Xuan must obtain enough salt to better promote agriculture and livestock. If living by the seaside, obtaining salt is relatively easy. You might even find some dried-up salt on the rocks. But in the southern wilderness, in the primitive jungle, finding salt is not an easy task. However, Jiang Xuan knew that large herbivores would actively seek salt in the wild. The larger the herbivore, the more salt it needs. Thus, they would look for salt more frequently. Having lived here for more than half a year, Jiang Xuan was familiar with the surroundings and had some understanding of the jungle and its prey. He knew that in the southern jungle, there was a herd of large wild cattle whose range of activities was relatively stable. By following these wild cattle, maybe he could find where they acquire salt. Jiang Xuan had pondered this method for a long time, often paying attention to this herd of wild cattle's movements while hunting. Whether he could find salt by following the wild cattle, Jiang Xuan didn't know, but he had to at least give it a try. Jiang Xuan thought for a moment, then went to the creek to share his idea with Gotung and Nanxing. Tracking the wild cattle takes time, and if night falls before they return, Gotung and Nanxing would surely worry. By telling them in advance, they wouldn't worry so much. Afterward, Jiang Xuan, Qi Xiao, and Shi Qiu returned to the bamboo huts to take their weapons, bringing some jerky along, before stepping into the vast primitive jungle. Chapter 25: Desolate Mountain Salt Mine. In the vast primitive forest, a herd of wild buffalo grazed as they slowly moved forward, occasionally lifting their heads to scan their surroundings, remaining very alert. Behind the buffalo, Jiang Xuan, Qi Xiao, and Shi Qiu had been tracking them for most of the day and were feeling quite hungry. Huff puff. Qi Xiao used a bone plow to dig up several spherical plant tubers from beneath a tree, handing the largest one to Jiang Xuan. Here, eat this. It's a round potato, very sweet. This fruit's appearance was similar to a sweet potato, but spherical with a reddish skin. Jiang Xuan wiped the dirt off the skin and took a bite. He was surprised to find that this round potato had a fruit-like quality when eaten, crisp, sweet, and very pleasant. Jiang Xuan's eyes lit up. This is good. Are there any smaller ones? Let's take them back to plant. I'll look. Qi Xiao rummaged through the area where the round potato grew and found 5 or 6 smaller tubers, the largest about the size of an egg, the smallest about a dove egg. In the past, these smaller fruits wouldn't have been taken back by the tribe. They would have been left to grow in the ground to be conveniently dug out on a return visit. But now things were different. Since the vine tribe had opened up wasteland, everything could be taken back. Large ones for eating, small ones for planting. Jiang Xuan put the small round potatoes into the beast hide bag he carried with him. To him, these were treasures. Chief, the wild buffalo are moving to another spot to graze. Shi Qiu had been watching the herd of buffalo intently, never taking his eyes off them even when eating the round potatoes. He was a very responsible and patient person. Let's follow them. Jiang Xuan tied up the mouth of his beast hide bag and quickly followed. The grass in the primitive jungle was relatively dispersed, so once the buffalo finished grazing in one area, they would head to another. Moreover, sometimes the herd might encounter a large predator and flee in panic. Without close tracking, it would be easy to lose them. And so, they gathered edible plants along the way and tracked the buffalo herd, and before they knew it, night had fallen. The buffalo herd stopped at a grassy area and did not move forward anymore. Buffalo need to sleep, too. In cold weather, they forage during the day and sleep at night. In hot weather, they generally forage in the morning and afternoon, sleeping at midday and night. Of course, there are always exceptions, with some buffalo foraging at night. Fortunately, this herd was not an exception. They were preparing to stay the night here. During the night, one buffalo would stand guard, keeping watch so the others could sleep without the fear of a sudden wild predator attack. Jiang Xuan observed the buffalo herd and said, "It looks like they won't move tonight. Let's prepare to spend the night in the trees." The ground was full of venomous insects and also prone to predator attacks, so spending the night in the trees was slightly safer. The three of them quickly built a temporary shelter in the trees and made a campfire on the ground. Fire was very important. Not only could it drive away predators, but the smoke could also repel annoying insects. After eating a little, the three took turns keeping watch and slept in the tree overnight. At dawn on the second day, as the sky lightened, the buffalo herd set off again, and Jiang Xuan and the others carefully extinguished the fire and immediately followed. Tracking a buffalo herd was a tedious and time-consuming task, but fortunately, Jiang Xuan and his companions could rotate among the three of them. On the second day of tracking the buffalo herd, Jiang Xuan finally discovered that the buffalo were heading to a particularly unique place. It was a few desolate mountains sparsely covered with vegetation, standing out incongruously amidst the towering ancient trees of the primitive forest. These desolate mountains were steep, with only some very low grass and shrubs. Yet the buffalo unhesitatingly ran towards the desolate mountains. When they reached the mountainside, they stopped in front of a rocky cliff and started licking the stones. At the foot of the mountain, Jiang Xuan watched the buffalo's actions with mounting excitement, but he still couldn't be sure that the buffalo were licking salt. Let's go up and take a look. Jiang Xuan led Qi Xiao and Shi Qiu, following the buffalo's path up the mountain. After licking the rocks for a while, the buffalo, because of the sparse vegetation, stood in an elevated position, easily spotting the people climbing the mountain. "Moo!" One of the buffalo bellowed, and then the others stopped licking the rocks and fled, descending the mountain from another slope. Jiang Xuan didn't mind. He wasn't tracking the buffalo to hunt them, but to find salt. Since he found a place where the buffalo supplemented their salt, there was no need to follow them anymore. Soon enough, Jiang Xuan climbed to the mountainside and arrived at the rocky cliff. This rocky cliff comprised countless stones, likely exposed due to a landslide. These stones were generally yellow in color, some tinged with red, with lower-lying stones exhibiting obvious licking marks, appearing smooth on the surface. The ground was littered with buffalo dung, wild goat droppings, and other animal feces, indicating that not only buffalo frequented this spot, other animals did as well. Jiang Xuan drew a self-made stone knife from his belt and pried off a small piece of reddish, semi-crystalline stone from the higher, unlicked areas of the rock face. Then, he gently licked the stone with his tongue. A salty yet bitter taste tingled the taste buds on Jiang Xuan's tongue. Salty. Jiang Xuan's body shivered in excitement. He gazed at the small, semi-crystalline stone with an indescribable exhilaration in his heart. This was salt. It truly was salt. Overjoyed, Jiang Xuan almost wanted to jump up. Heaven knew how he hadn't tasted real salt since crossing to this world, almost forgetting what salt tasted like. Let me try. Qi Xiao also used her stone knife to pry a small piece of rock, licked it, and found the taste unpleasant. Besides the salty taste, there were many impurities, making it not tasty. I'll try to. Shurqiu eagerly got himself a small piece of stone, taking a lick, experiencing a similar feeling to Qi Xiao's. It wasn't pleasant to eat. Chief, is this really salt? Qi Xiao doubted. For in her memory, salt was extremely precious, and the deer tribe obtained it only through trade with other tribes. The salt was usually in the hands of the tribe's leader or the witch, and only the injured or sick could get a little dilute salt water, while others relied on drinking beast blood to supplement their salt intake. Most tribespeople had never seen what complete salt looked like, nor had Qi Xiao. She found it hard to accept that the vast rock face could contain such precious salt. Shurqiu also watched Jiang Xuan because he knew the leader would certainly provide an answer. Holding the semi-crystalline pale red rock in his palm, Jiang Xuan said to Qi Xiao and Shurqiu, "To be precise, this is salt ore which contains a large amount of toxic substances besides salt. If the toxic substances can't be removed, consuming it over time will lead to gradual poisoning. Severe cases could even lead to death." Upon hearing it was toxic, Qi Xiao and Shurqiu immediately became tense because they had both licked the salt Oregon. Jiang Xuan continued, "Don't worry, just a lick won't harm you. Only prolonged consumption will cause poisoning." Qi Xiao asked curiously, "Then why aren't the buffalo affected?" Shurqiu nodded beside her, sharing the same curiosity. "Buffalo has much stronger constitutions than us and a better ability to detoxify, so they can lick it directly, while we can't eat this salt or directly." Qi Xiao spoke with frustration. "Having finally found it, and we can't eat it, haven't we wasted 2 days?" Jiang Xuan chuckled. "It wasn't in vain. I know how to remove the toxic substances from this salt, or turning it into salt we can consume." Really, hope rekindled in Qi Xiao's eyes. Salt was of utmost importance and precious to the tribe. "Of course. That's wonderful," Jiang Xuan said. "Let's dig some salt or crush it and bring it back to the tribe in the beast hide bags." All right. The three of them immediately began digging the salt ore with their stone knives, selecting the reddish semi-crystalline salt, or as it had a higher salt content. The semi-crystalline salt ore was relatively easy to crush, which made it easier to fit into the beast hide bags and more convenient to carry. Each brought a beast hide bag, and when the 3 bags were filled, they embarked on their return journey with excited hearts. If this salt ore could truly be refined into edible salt, the Vine Tribe's salt shortage crisis would be genuinely resolved. Chapter 26: Purification of Coarse Salt. March 30th, afternoon. Jiang Xuan, along with Qi Xiao and Shurqiu, returned to the Vine Tribe carrying 3 bags of salt ore and round potatoes and other edible tubers. When they once again saw the ancient vine of Stone Mountain, the bamboo forest, and the totem pattern on the giant rock in front of the bamboo house, an indescribable feeling of ease came over them. Jiang Xuan thought, "This is the feeling of coming home." "Chief, Qi Xiao," Sure, Qiu, you are finally back. Gotong and Nanxing ran overexcitedly, and those wanderers who were busy clearing the wilderness felt relieved to see the chief return. After staying here for a few days, the wanderers deeply cherished the days of having a house to live in and enough food to eat. If the chief had met with an accident, such good days might end. Jiang Xuan carried a bag of salt ore and said, "The trip took a little longer. Sorry to worry you. Let's talk inside." Jiang Xuan walked into the bamboo house, put down the beast-hide bag, and took out a piece of salt ore from it. Gotong and Nanxing gathered around. Curiously looking at the stone, Nanxing asked, "Chief, is this salt?" Jiang Xuan chuckled. "This is salt, but it is toxic now and can't be eaten yet." Toxic? Nanxing had initially wanted to try a piece, but he quickly pulled back his half-extended hand. Jiang Xuan said, "Don't worry, I have a way to turn it into non-toxic salt. First, take a pottery jar to the creek and wash it clean, fill it with water, and bring it back." "All right, I'll go right away." Nanxing took a pottery jar and went to the creek excitedly to wash and fill it with water. Jiang Xuan, meanwhile, walked out of the bamboo house to find some soft moss nearby. The moss was thick and grew densely, and when washed, it could serve as filter cotton cloth. The process of purifying coarse salt is simple. Many people in Jiang Xuan's previous world have done it, consisting of just 4 steps: dissolution, filtration, evaporation, crystallization. The most crucial step is filtration. As long as you filter out the impurities in the salt or that are insoluble in water, after evaporation and crystallization, the purified salt is edible. Of course, mere filtration cannot remove all impurities in the salt, or since some are soluble in water. If conditions allow, it is best to further purify it into refined salt. Jiang Xuan now lacks the conditions, so he can only use the simplest method, and considering the tribe's people's constitution, consuming slight impurities wouldn't pose much of a problem. Jiang Xuan found a piece of thick bamboo, chiseled away the node on the top, and made a hole at the node at the bottom. Then he lined the bottom of the bamboo with clean moss, grabbed several handfuls of charcoal from beside the hearth, and placed them inside the bamboo. Charcoal has an adsorption effect. Adding charcoal to the filter can remove smaller impurities from the salt ore. On top of the charcoal, he placed another layer of moss, added a layer of stones, then more moss, another layer of charcoal, and more stones on top, sealed with moss. Finally, he poured a large amount of clean water into the filter for a simple rinse. A simple primitive filter was thus completed. With 5 layers of moss, 2 layers of charcoal, and 2 layers of stones, it should remove most impurities from the dissolved salt ore. Qi Xiao and the others watched Jiang Xuan create the primitive filter with full attention. Although they did not know its specific use, they felt inexplicably that this thing was impressive. After Jiang Xuan completed the primitive filter, Nanxing had already cleaned both pottery jars, one of which was also filled with clear water. "Chief, can I do something?" Gotong looked at Jiang Xuan with anticipation, eager to get involved. Jiang Xuan said, "Find a piece of beast hide and spread it on the ground. Place a flat stone on top, and then crush these salt ores." "All right, I'm on it." Gotong didn't understand why these stones were called salt ore, but that didn't dampen his enthusiasm for work. He found a beast hide, and then 2 stones. One flat placed in the middle of the hide, the other used to crush the salt ores. Then Gotong took a piece of salt ore from the beast hide bag, placed it on the flat stone, and, following Jiang Xuan's instructions, crushed the salt ore finely. Jiang Xuan then scooped the crushed salt ore into an empty pottery jar, filling about 1/3 of its capacity, then began to add water and stirred constantly with a bamboo stick. As Jiang Xuan stirred, the salt crystals in the salt ore gradually dissolved. The water became turbid, with a lot of insoluble sediment at the bottom. Jiang Xuan let the pottery jar sit for a while, waiting for the suspended particles in the water to settle before starting filtration. He poured out the water from the other pottery jar, placed it down, and handed the primitive filter to Qi Xiao. "Sister, help me hold this bamboo tube steady." "All right." Qi Xiao held the primitive filter with both hands, placing it above the empty pottery jar. Jiang Xuan then lifted the pottery jar with salt water, gently pouring it into the bamboo tube. Swoosh! As the salt water flowed in, layers of moss, stones, and charcoal filtered out most impurities, making the water flowing into the pottery jar relatively clear, although still slightly reddish. After pouring the salt water, Jiang Xuan returned to the creek to clean the bottom sediment of the pottery jar, returned to the bamboo house, and filtered the salt water once more. After filtering 3 times, the obtained salt water was now very clear, with almost no visible color. Jiang Xuan placed the triple-filtered salt water on the hearth, cooking it over stone blocks. This was a relatively long process, requiring sufficient patience. As the salt water boiled, Jiang Xuan occasionally stirred it and joined the others in crushing the remaining salt ore. After they had crushed an entire bag of salt ore, the water in the pottery jar had noticeably evaporated a layer, with a small amount of white crystals visible on the jar's inner wall. Jiang Xuan carefully scraped off these crystals with a piece of bamboo shell. He pinched a small amount of salt crystal between his fingers and placed it on the tip of his tongue. A rather pure, salty taste stimulated the taste buds on the tip of his tongue. The salty taste was already very close to true edible salt, without the bitterness and astringency of impure salt. Qi Xiao and the 3 youths watched Jiang Xuan eagerly, hoping to see something on his face. Very salty. This was Jiang Xuan's first sentence. This is the real salt that we can all eat. This was Jiang Xuan's second sentence. That's great. Nanxing was the first to cheer, proud to have personally participated in the salt-making process, a feeling of excitement that was simply indescribable. Come everyone, try some. There wasn't much crystallized salt, so Jiang Xuan divided a small amount among each of them. Qi Xiao carefully placed this bit of salt on the tip of her tongue, then closed her mouth, savoring the taste. Before long, her eyes were slightly moist. It's really salt. The deer tribe used to have salt, usually obtained from larger tribes, exchanged with beast hides, beast bones, and other items. Not only was it expensive, but it was also not pure, with strong bitter and astringent tastes. Originally, they thought that with just a few of them, they might never have the chance to eat salt again. Yet unexpectedly, Jiang Xuan made better salt. The 3 youths felt the same way, even licking their fingers clean. Salt, something every household in Jiang Xuan's previous world could afford, was exceptionally precious in this barbaric world. Being able to eat salt was a blessing. Eating relatively pure salt was a very blessed thing. At this moment, all 5 of them felt very blessed. Chapter 27, 3-Legged Pottery Cauldron. The successful purification of salt ore means that the vine tribe will no longer lack salt in the future. If the tribe grows and prospers, they might even be able to sell salt as a commodity. After Jiang Xuan produced a small jar of salt, he temporarily stopped this time-consuming task. The remaining salt ore could be purified on rainy days when there's nothing else to do. The next day, after Jiang Xuan tasted a pot of stew seasoned with salt, he was overwhelmed with immense happiness, almost to the point of tears. This is what delicious food should taste like. Meat without salt is indescribably bland to eat. Having resolved the salt issue, Jiang Xuan went on to make 2 relatively large 3-legged round pottery cauldrons from clay and some spoon and ladle blanks, and left them to dry in the bamboo house. Because the number of people eating has increased, those 2 pottery jars are no longer sufficient for cooking. The 3-legged pottery cauldron perfectly solves this problem. The 3-legged pottery cauldron has a large capacity and comes with 3 legs, allowing it to be placed directly into the hearth without needing to be propped on stones. Additionally, the 3-legged pottery cauldron has 2 cauldron ears. When the food is cooked, a wooden stick can be threaded through the ears to easily lift the cauldron elsewhere. Peaceful days always pass quickly. In the blink of an eye, 9 days have gone by. April 9th. The weather has noticeably shifted from warm to hot, with a gentle drizzle turning into heavy or even torrential rain. Whether it's the plants in the jungle or the grains and vegetables planted by the vine tribe, everything has begun to grow wildly, with lush greenery everywhere. All of this indicates that spring has quietly departed and summer has arrived with its heat. April 9th, sunny, start of summer. In the morning, Jiang Xuan engraved the term start of summer on his bamboo tube calendar, then put the bamboo tube away and stepped out the door. At this moment, the sky is a clear blue. Although the sun has not risen yet, several rays of sunlight pierce through the clouds, coloring the white clouds with a red glow. Let's see if the pottery was successfully fired. Yesterday, Jiang Xuan placed the dried pottery blanks into the horizontal flame kiln, and after firing them for most of the night, he went to bed. Chief, wait for me. Go Tong excitedly ran over, followed by Qi Xiao, Shi Qiu, and Nan Xing, who all rushed in the same direction. Jiang Xuan arrived beside the horizontal flame kiln and touched it. The kiln wall still had residual warmth, but it was no longer hot. Jiang Xuan unfastened his stone knife and dug out the clay, sealing the intake port on the side of the horizontal flame kiln. He moved aside the large block of hardened clay, revealing the pottery that had been successfully fired inside the hearth. The first things to come out were 5 soup ladles, crafted to be relatively large with long handles. During the firing process, the handles of 2 ladles broke, but the other 3 were successfully fired. Take these. Jiang Xuan handed the pottery ladles to Go Tung. All right, Go Tung happily held the 5 ladles. He knew they were valuable, as having these meant not needing to pour soup directly from the pottery jar, but instead being able to ladle it into bowls. With excitement in his heart, Jiang Xuan carefully retrieved a pottery cauldron from the kiln's hearth. Jiang Xuan inspected it closely and found that it was successfully fired without any cracks. This was a 3-legged, 2-ear, round pottery cauldron, approximately 60 centimeters tall and 40 centimeters wide, very sturdy, with a cauldron lid on top. The most striking feature of this pottery cauldron was the carvings of the vine tribe's totem patterns on its exterior and lid, a massive ancient vine entwined around a rugged stone mountain, resembling a dragon coiling around a pillar. When the pottery cauldron appeared before everyone, they were all excited, not because of its perfect firing, but because it had the totem patterns carved on it. Totem patterns hold significant meaning for the tribe members, and anything carved with them naturally carries special meaning. Even if this pottery cauldron wasn't very smooth and appeared quite rough, for the people of the Vine tribe, it was considered the best item, and they would not accept outsiders' contradictions. Goding asked, Chief, are we going to use it for cooking in the future? Yes, with the pottery cauldron, we can cook enough food for 20 people at once. That's great. Food cooked in the pottery cauldron will surely be delicious. The others nodded in agreement. After all, it's a pottery cauldron with the Vine tribe's totem patterns carved on it. There's another one inside. Jiang Xuan then cautiously retrieved the other pottery cauldron from the kiln's hearth. The walls of this pottery cauldron are also engraved with totem patterns, and it has been successfully fired. With these 2 pottery cauldrons, not only has cooking become much more convenient, but refining salt will also be much easier because it's big enough to hold more brine at once. Let's wash them first, and then go back to try out our new pottery cauldrons. Jiang Xuan was the first to pick up a pottery cauldron. Qi Xiao picked up the other one, and they carefully washed them clean by the creek. Afterwards, the 2 pottery cauldrons were brought back to the bamboo house and placed in the fire pit. The 3 legs of the pottery cauldrons allow them to stand stably in the fire pit without the need to prop them up. You can just light the fire directly. Jiang Xuan placed burning wood under the pottery cauldron, and the flames kept licking at it, gradually heating it up. Into the first pottery cauldron, Jiang Xuan first added water and then added various edible plant tubers, like stone egg, round potato, and polygonatum. This is the usual meal for the Vine tribe. For the second pottery cauldron, after Jiang Xuan heated it thoroughly, he added some lamb fat, wild ginger, and wild onions, and after sautéing them for fragrance, he added clean water. Then he put in small chunks of dried animal meat and added many edible wild vegetable stems and leaves. Finally, Jiang Xuan added a pinch of precious salt, covered the cauldron, and let it simmer slowly. This is their usual meat and vegetables meal. Sometimes they cook animal meat, sometimes fish, sometimes shrimp and crab, and even some edible insects. Cooking these foods takes some time. Jiang Xuan let Nan Xing watch the fire while he and 3 other people went to check the traps set up by the field. With continuous land clearing, The Vine tribe now has over 10 acres of farmland where neat rows of grains and vegetables are planted, creating a majestic sight. But problems have also arisen. Because edible plants are gathered together, herbivorous animals from the nearby forest, including many insects, flock here, damaging the immature grain and vegetables. As for the insects, the only solution is to have those wanderers catch them by hand. To deal with wild animals, Jiang Xuan and others need to set up traps. To protect these hard-to-plant crops, Jiang Xuan and his companions set up a large number of traps around the fields, including rope noose traps, trigger traps, earth bows, and more. These traps manage to catch or kill some crop-thieving animals almost every day, thereby adding to the Vine tribe's meat supply. Even the insects are caught by the wanderers, one by one, skewered on sticks and roasted for eating. If Jiang Xuan didn't forbid them from eating raw, they might even eat them raw. Biting into one with a burst of juice was quite thrilling. A plump mountain rat. Let's take it back. Jiang Xuan went to the first trap and found a trigger trap with a plump mountain rat, its head pinched flat by a stick about 2 to 3 pounds in weight. This is also good meat that can be taken back for roasting. Jiang Xuan tossed the mountain rat into the vine basket and continued walking forward. The second trap was a snare trap, but the rope had already been bitten through. Qi Shao carefully examined the marks left on the ground and said, "It should have snared a rabbit. The snare must have caught its foot, so it bit through the rope and escaped. If it caught its neck, it wouldn't have been able to run." The 4 of them continued forward. Some traps successfully caught prey. Some traps were not triggered, and some were triggered, but the prey escaped. Yet, after making a round, they actually collected more than 10 small game animals, filling a vine basket. A good haul, let's go back. Jiang Xuan was in good spirits. When clearing land for cultivation, he didn't expect to harvest meat as well. When they returned to the bamboo house, the food in the 2 pottery cauldrons was already cooked, filling the air with fragrance. Our stomachs are flattened from hunger. Let's eat. Jiang Xuan removed the firewood from under the pottery cauldrons and opened the lid of the big cauldron. The steaming food released an even more enticing aroma. Jiang Xuan took out his pottery bowl and chopsticks. Using a long-handled ladle, he scooped up a big half bowl of cooked plant tubers and then scooped out some animal meat and wild vegetables from another pottery cauldron. Blowing on it, he began eating heartily. Delicious. Jiang Xuan ate with satisfaction. With salt, all the food seemed to have been infused with a soul, tasting especially sweet and savory. The others also started eating. After they were full, they packed the food into pottery jars and sent it to the wanderers, so they could eat their fill and continue working. To ensure these wanderers had the strength to work, Jiang Xuan was not stingy. The food he provided to the wanderers was almost no different from what they ate themselves, including salt in the food. If the wanderers were not given salt, they would fall ill from the lack of it because of their hard labor and sweating every day, making it impossible to continue working. Chapter 28, Giant Dragonfly. The first year of the Vine tribe's founding, April 16th. Boom! Crackle! In the sky, dark clouds gathered, thick lightning madly struck, wild winds howled, and torrential rain poured down. Inside the bamboo hut, Gansong held a bowl of rice, squatting by the door, watching the rainwater flow along the gutter of the doorway and glancing at the leak-free roof, feeling very conflicted. Even when the tribe was still around, we never lived in such a good house. Since losing an arm, Gansong has been very pessimistic, without any hope for the future. Because for a warrior, losing an arm means being unable to participate in hunting. Without being able to hunt, one couldn't get much food, forced to gather wild vegetables to barely survive. Encountering winter was truly a nightmare. But now they had arrived at the Vine tribe. Here, they didn't need to fight fierce beasts in the forest, nor did they need to eat roots and bark, just needed to do work that Gansong found very simple. They lived in leak-free bamboo huts, ate their fill, and kept warm. Surprisingly, their life was better than in the previous tribe. Gansong looked down at the pottery bowl. Such fine items, only the Vine tribe would provide to wanderers like them. Gansong placed the pottery bowl on his leg to steady it, then clumsily grabbed some rice with chopsticks and shoveled it into his mouth. A faint salty taste, mingled with the aroma of the food, spread in his mouth. "This is precious salt." Gonsong held the rice in his mouth for quite a while before reluctantly swallowing it down. The vine tribe was too kind to them. Gonsong felt like he was dreaming. "If this is a dream, I hope this dream never ends." Gonsong ate his meal and watched the pouring rain, feeling the oppressive pessimism in his heart being somewhat washed away by the rain. Summer rains came fast and left quickly. An hour later, the rain stopped and the clouds in the sky dispersed. Sunshine once again bathed the earth. Gonsong washed his bowl and chopsticks clean, carefully put them away, then picked up the bone plow and called to the other wanderers, "The rain has stopped. Time to work." The wanderers in the bamboo huts stood up one after another, took their tools, and walked to the fields. Everyone was very eager to work because they had seen the goodness of the vine tribe and wanted to stay permanently. To stay in a vine tribe, one must work hard, because the leader said, those who perform well can become true vine tribe members, but laziness might get one expelled from the tribe. Today, the task was to dig deeper drainage ditches in the fields. As summer arrived, the rainfall increased. If the ditches were too shallow to drain the water, the crops in the fields could easily be flooded. Gonsong, holding the bone plow with one hand, started working as soon as he got to the field. Though he had only one hand, being a one-color warrior, his strength was much greater than ordinary people, and he didn't lag behind others in work. The other wanderers also started working, and no one minded the mud after the rain because they had been through tougher environments. Jiang Xuan walked out of the bamboo house, the air after the rain especially fresh, carrying the unique fragrance of grass and wood, making one feel relaxed and happy. Nearby, Qi Xiao and Shi Qiu were patrolling the pond, checking the vine nets at the outflow, ensuring that fish in the pond couldn't escape. In the distance, those wanderers were busy digging drainage ditches, chatting and laughing, working with great zeal. A smile also appeared on Jiang Xuan's face. Even though life was a bit hard and tiring, days full of vigor filled one's heart with hope for the future. And what's that? Just as Jiang Xuan was about to check the fields, he suddenly saw a giant insect flying towards them from afar, the sound of its wings flapping very loud, like the sound of a helicopter. Is that a dragonfly? Jiang Xuan's eyes widened as he looked at the giant figure in the air. In the sky, a giant dragonfly with a wingspan of at least 6 meters and a body length of 4 meters flew. Its 2 pairs of transparent wings flapped at a rapid pace, almost invisible to the eye. Jiang Xuan suddenly recalled an introduction to a prehistoric giant dragonfly he had seen in his previous life. Its large eyes were like 360-degree, no blind spot cameras, its black mandibles like huge pliers, capable of easily crushing animal bones. All 6 of its long legs were spiked, able to easily grasp prey, and each of its wings could be controlled individually, allowing it to fly freely in the forest. This giant dragonfly was a formidable overlord of the sky, not inferior to ordinary birds, very terrifying. This description closely matched the giant dragonfly Jiang Xuan was witnessing, but this one appeared even larger and more intimidating. Although he had seen various large insects, including half-meter-long centipedes and spider as big as pumpkins, this giant dragonfly gave him a stronger sense of shock because it was simply like a small fighter jet. When the giant dragonfly flew closer, Jiang Xuan felt its terror even more keenly at this nearer distance. As it flew over Jiang Xuan's head, he could clearly feel a strong wind stirring the ground, making the bamboo forest rustle with noise. So big, Jiang Xuan kept watching the sky until the giant dragonfly flew over the bamboo forest and settled on the middle part of Stone Mountain, gripping the massive ancient vine. Jiang Xuan felt a wave of nervousness, fearing that the ancient vine might thrash the giant dragonfly to death with a single vine, just like it had killed the giant bird before. That would be such a pity because it was Jiang Xuan's first time seeing such a large dragonfly, and he couldn't recall any information about such giant dragonflies in his memory. Luckily, the ancient vine remained motionless, seemingly indifferent to the giant dragonfly settling on it. Qi Xiao and Go Teng came over too. "Sister, have you seen such a dragonfly?" Qi Xiao shook her head and said, "Never seen one so big. That's strange. Could have flown from elsewhere." Jiang Xuan was puzzled, but that didn't stop him from yearning for such a giant dragonfly. To Jiang Xuan, it was like a small helicopter. If it could be tamed, wouldn't it be possible to ride it and fly everywhere? The thought of flying around on a giant dragonfly made Jiang Xuan's heart race with excitement. However, taming a bird was easy. Taming an insect was much harder, and whether it could be successfully domesticated was anyone's guess. Moreover, catching this giant dragonfly, with its strong attack power and fast flight, was challenging enough, let alone taming it. If only I could find its larvae. Raising it from a larva would be easier. But where to look for its larvae? Jiang Xuan had no clues for now, and this dragonfly flew too fast to be followed. Jiang Xuan could only ponder while observing this giant dragonfly. Surprisingly, in the days that followed, this giant dragonfly did not leave, foraging nearby by day and resting on Stone Mountain at night, accompanied by the ancient vine. This made Jiang Xuan quite happy, for as long as this giant dragonfly didn't leave, the chance of approaching it or finding its larvae increased. Over time, the people of the Vine tribe gradually got used to the presence of this giant dragonfly. This giant dragonfly did not attack people, merely catching some giant insects to feed on, living peacefully alongside the Vine tribe. Chapter 29. Nanxing's Bone Whistle. April 20th, clear skies. Woof woof, tweet tweet. The sun was gradually becoming scorching, and the cicadas on the trees began their endless song. Although the weather hadn't reached its hottest, walking under the sun still left one drenched in sweat. On the ancient vine of Stone Mountain, the giant dragonfly rested beneath the massive leaves of the vine, only capturing large insects in the morning and evening. Yesterday, the Vine tribe hunted 2 large preys, providing enough meat for several days. Therefore, in this hot weather, they could stay in the tribe and rest, without the need to go out hunting. It's rare for 5 people to have some free time to do things they enjoy. Jiang Xuan planned to make another stone knife. He followed the stream upstream to find suitable stone material, but discovered Nanxing sitting on a rock by the stream, busy with something. "Nanxing, what are you doing here?" Jiang Xuan asked curiously. Nanxing raised his head and showed Jiang Xuan what he was holding. "Chieftain, I want to make a bone whistle." "Bone whistle?" Jiang Xuan walked over and found that Nanxing was holding a hollow bird leg bone in his left hand and a sharp stone in his right. One end of the leg bone already had a small hole drilled into it. Jiang Xuan knew that primitive bone whistles were typically made from hollow bird leg bones. Some had 1 hole, others 2 or 3. The more holes, the more notes it could produce. "How many holes do you want to drill?" Jiang Xuan asked. 3 holes. I saw people in the tribe doing it this way. They could make it sound like a deer's call with a bone whistle. Using a bone whistle to mimic a deer's call was the specialty of the deer tribe. They could use a simple bone whistle to perfectly mimic the deer's call, even attracting real deer. "Keep drilling. Once you're done, blow it for me to hear." "Okay." Nanxing continued drilling holes, keeping his head down. Although bird leg bones were hollow, they were quite hard, making it difficult to drill suitable holes. It required a lot of time and patience. Jiang Xuan continued up the creek to find suitable stone material. The closer he got to Stone Mountain, the more stones there were in the creek, making it easier to find the right material. Jiang Xuan searched for a long time before finally finding a piece of stone in the creek suitable for making a stone knife. This stone was very hard, and when it broke, the fracture was very sharp, but it was brittle and easily broke, so it was only suitable for making short stone knives. To make a stone knife that was both hard and tough enough, you needed to find gem-level stones, which were quite rare. Therefore, a good stone knife was hard to come by and often regarded as a treasure by the tribe. Clang, clang, clang. Jiang Xuan used another stone to strike along the grain of the stone he wanted for the stone knife. After doing this many times, he had become quite skilled at it. Under his constant striking, The stone followed the grain and cracked into several irregularly sized pieces. Jiang Xuan chose the most suitable piece and cautiously continued to knock it into the shape of a knife. This process required careful attention, as one mistake could ruin the knife blade. Fortunately, Jiang Xuan's hands were steady, and luck was on his side. He successfully shaped the stone into a knife blade about 20 centimeters long. Subsequently, he found another stone by the creek and carefully ground the knife into a more fitting shape. After finishing everything, several hours had passed. Jiang Xuan took the knife blade back the way he came. Once back, he still had to attach a handle made from beast horn and sharpen the blade further. This was a job that required significant patience. Every tool made by the tribespeople took a substantial amount of time to complete, and those without patience couldn't produce a good tool. When Jiang Xuan got halfway back, he found Nanxing still there. As he approached, he saw that Nanxing's bone whistle was nearly complete. "Chieftain, look, my bone whistle is finished." Nanxing happily presented the bone whistle to Jiang Xuan, like a child showing off a new toy, his face beaming with a bright smile. This bone whistle was made from the middle segment of a large bird's leg bone, about 15 centimeters long. There was a round hole on each side, with another in the middle. Jiang Xuan watched for a moment, finding it quite interesting. "Blow it for me to hear." "Okay." Nanxing picked up the bone whistle with both hands, bringing his mouth to the middle hole to blow. His index fingers covered the other two holes, and, as he manipulated them, a primitive bone whistle sound resonated. Although it could only produce a few simple notes, the sound was very resonant and penetrating, sounding both like a deer's call and a bird's chirp, leaving a lasting impression. Of course, Nanxing wasn't very skilled yet, and attracting a great horned deer with his whistling would require much more practice. With an encouraging smile, Jiang Xuan said, "Nanxing, you're playing well. One day, like the hunters of the deer tribe, you'll be able to attract great horned deers with your whistling." Jiang Xuan's encouragement greatly boosted Nanxing's confidence. Grasping the bone whistle, he said confidently, "Chieftain, I will achieve this." Jiang Xuan laughed. "I believe in you." Nanxing nodded emphatically, then followed Jiang Xuan back towards the bamboo house. Before they knew it, it was already afternoon. Although they didn't need to go hunting, as the weather grew hotter, plants rapidly grew, and more wild animals began stealing crops near the fields, almost impossible to catch. To prevent the crops from being eaten, Jiang Xuan and the others needed to set up many traps near the fields every afternoon, usually catching a lot of prey by morning. In the evening, after setting numerous traps with Qi Xiao and others, Jiang Xuan looked at the damaged crops at the field's edge and said helplessly, "All these crops have almost become bait for hunting." Qi Xiao said, "I think it's not bad this way. It increases the tribe's food supply daily." Thinking about it, Jiang Xuan realized it was true. After all, the purpose of planting crops was to increase food supply. Although the crops hadn't matured, they were already providing the tribe with much meat, which was a success. Moreover, most of what they planted were tuberous plants. Even if the above-ground parts were eaten, they would still grow, just with a slightly reduced yield. With this understanding, Jiang Xuan felt much better. His gaze softened as he looked at the animal paths worn by the beasts. After all, the wasteland had just been cleared, and within 1 or 2 years, crop yields wouldn't be high anyway. Let the animals come and go as they please. Once the wasteland turned fertile, the surrounding animals would likely be consumed by the vine tribe. Let's go back. Having set the last trap, Jiang Xuan returned to the bamboo house with the group in high spirits, calculating in his mind how much game these traps would catch tomorrow. The sun gradually set. The sunset glow formed a sky on fire, dyeing half the sky red. The ancient vine on Stone Mountain was bathed in a layer of orange-red light, even making the giant dragonfly resting on the vine appear more mysterious. Smoke slowly rose from the bamboo house's chimney, marking the return of weary wanderers. The sun set in the west, and the moon rose in the east as various birds, beasts, and insects in the forest gradually became active. Chapter 30 Mats. May 1st, the weather is getting hotter, and the crops are growing faster. The vine tribe's cultivated land has reached 30 acres. With extremely primitive tools, it is already quite strenuous for a dozen people to take care of 30 acres of farmland. Therefore, Jiang Xuan no longer lets the wanderer continue to cultivate new land, as long as these 30 acres are well planted. These grasses, along with plant ash, dung, crushed bones, and pond mud, pile them all together, press them tight, and ferment them for half a month. Ferment them thoroughly as fertilizer. Whenever you find worms inside the fertilizer pile, the fertilizer is ready to use. In the fields, Jiang Xuan personally taught the wanderers how to compost. Even when facing the foul-smelling dung, he remained unperturbed. Composting is a major secret to farming. The slash-and-burn method yields low output. Besides the lack of management, insufficient fertilizer is also a crucial reason. Plant ash is good, but relying only on plant ash to grow crops is definitely not enough. Composting, mixing various materials together, fermenting them into nutrient-rich organic fertilizer, is very beneficial to crop growth. Compost materials are very broad and easy to obtain, such as fodder, plant ash, dung, food scraps. Animal bones can all be used. Gansong remembered Jiang Xuan's words in his heart. Since losing an arm, hunting has become difficult for him. Even simple snare traps are hard to set with only one hand. But now he has found something he can do well, which is farming. Though he only has one hand, through effort he can skillfully master farming techniques and work as much as anyone else. Gradually, he came to love farming. The feeling of clearing land, planting crops, watching them grow bit by bit, mature and harvest, fascinated Gansong deeply. Gansong confidently said, "Chief, rest assured, we will definitely make the best fertilizer. Work hard. If we harvest more grain in autumn, everyone can be well-fed in winter without going hungry." Jiang Xuan gave a few more instructions, then turned and left. "Let's get to work," Gansong called out, and then started gathering various materials for composting following Jiang Xuan's methods. A busy scene unfolded along the fields. Jiang Xuan walked to the creek, found a large patch of tall reeds, chose intact ones, and cut them down with a stone knife. Actually, reeds are best harvested in autumn, as they're strongest after the new reeds blossom. But Jiang Xuan couldn't wait, so he could only cut some of last year's reeds, planning to weave several cooling mats. As the weather becomes hotter, placing a mattress on the bamboo bed is no longer suitable. Yet directly sleeping on bamboo beds is not comfortable, as the bamboo isn't smooth and it pokes when lying down. Jiang Xuan considered and decided to weave some cooling mats. Bamboo can also be woven into cooling mats with great effect, but requires splitting bamboo into thin strips, which is not easy without suitable tools. Reeds are different. They're softer and tougher. Cutting and weaving are much easier than with bamboo. After Jiang Xuan chopped for a while, Qi Xiao came to help too. She always silently guarded by Jiang Xuan's side, keeping alert for potential dangers. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The weather was hot. In the grass by the creek, many unknown little bugs kept chirping. "Sister, that's enough. Don't cut anymore." Jiang Xuan cut a large bundle of reeds. Qi Xiao did the same, and together they twisted the reeds into simple grass ropes, bundled them up, and carried them back to the bamboo house area. Plop! The large bundle of reeds was thrown on the ground. Qi Xiao wiped the sweat from her cheek, curious at last. "Xuan, why did you cut so much grass?" "To weave cooling mats." "Cooling mats. It's a pad for sleeping on beds. The beast hide is too hot to sleep on. I want to make cooler pads." "Ah, I see." Qi Xiao nodded. Indeed, in this weather, it's not suitable to sleep on beast hides. "Sister, let's first immerse these reeds in the pond." "Okay." The two carried the reeds to the pond, then tossed the whole bundle into the water to soak. This was because the reeds they harvested were last year's old reeds, completely dry and brittle, breaking easily. Soaking in water lets the dry reeds hydrate and regain flexibility, making them better for weaving. After submerging the reeds, they went on with other tasks. More than 2 hours later, Jiang Xuan returned to the pond, pulled out a reed segment, bent it slightly, found it had softened, then retrieved the 2 bundles of reeds, bringing them back to the open space in front of the bamboo house. He untied the grass ropes on the reeds, found a flat stone and a piece of wood, placed the reeds on it, and started pounding them flat one by one. Thump, thump, thump. As Jiang Xuan kept pounding, each reed stalk got flattened, turning into flat strips. After finishing her own tasks, Qi Xiao came over to help. Go Tung, Shi Qiu, and Nan Xing also joined in to lend a hand. When all the reed stalks were flattened, Jiang Xuan began weaving them. Weaving a beautiful, fine, patterned reed cooling mat is intricate and time-consuming. But flattening whole reed stalks and directly weaving them into mats is much easier. Doesn't take long, though they may look rather rough. Jobs like weaving were done by the tribe members since childhood. Everyone was quite skilled. Jiang Xuan first used a flattened reed as a weft, then tied individual reed stalks vertically and evenly to the weft for warp. Afterward, they only needed to weave each reed stalk continuously through these warps, tighten them, and a full reed mat could be made. With the efforts of 5 people, they wove 5 single reed mats from the reeds they brought back in just one afternoon. On the following day, these mats were dried under the sun for half a day. Afterwards, Jiang Xuan and others replaced the beast-hide mattresses on the bamboo beds with these mats. At night, Jiang Xuan lay on his bamboo bed. The cool mat beneath offered excellent breathability. Lying down felt neither chilly nor stuffy. Very comfortable. Feels pretty good. Jiang Xuan revealed a contented smile. Willing to work diligently, one could use their hands to gradually improve life. The 3 youths were also very satisfied with the new mats. They were comfortable to sleep on. Qi Xiao lay in her little room, stroked the mat beneath her, and murmured quietly, "Xian has grown. He's more capable than me." With a gratifying smile, Qi Xiao soon drifted into dreams, filled with delightful reverie all night. Chapter 31, Stinky Grass. The first year of the Vine Tribe's establishment, night of May 8th, clear. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Slap. Jiang Xuan lay in bed, accurately swatting a mosquito that was intending to land on his thigh to suck blood. However, not long after, 2 more mosquitoes flew over, circling around him, searching for the best spot to suck blood. Incredibly annoying. After swatting 5 mosquitoes, Jiang Xuan finally sat up helplessly, completely awake. As the weather became increasingly hot, the mosquito population surged, becoming quite rampant, occasionally biting people, sucking out a drop of blood, leaving an itchy welt, making people very uncomfortable. Not just mosquitoes, other bugs also increased in number, various flying insects sneaking through the cracks of the bamboo house, then flying around the fire pit, some even plunging into the fire, turning to ash. Sitting on the bed, Jiang Xuan said helplessly, "If only we had mosquito coils." If there were mosquito coils, mosquitoes would not dare to come openly to bite, and those bugs would be repelled or knocked out. Unfortunately, the mosquito coils that could be bought for a few bucks in the previous life couldn't be found in this barbaric primordial world. Just as Jiang Xuan was feeling helpless, Qi Xiao seemed to hear the noise and walked over to him. "Why aren't you sleeping?" Qi Xiao asked concernedly. "Too many mosquitoes. Can't sleep with the bites." Jiang Xuan's expression was very helpless. After hearing Jiang Xuan's words, Qi Xiao thought for a while, picked up a spear, and said, "Take a torch, come with me outside." "Okay." Jiang Xuan didn't know what Qi Xiao was going to do outside, but he was very curious. There was more than a dozen already made torches in the bamboo house, made by splitting bamboo, bundling large amounts of resin-rich branches together. Since the tribe didn't have electrical appliances, torches were the most important lighting tool at night, usually made in advance, and when needing to use, one would just light it at the fire pit. Jiang Xuan took a torch, lit it, and followed Qi Xiao to open the door of the bamboo house. Going out at night is actually a dangerous act, but the Vine tribe was protected by ancient vine, and there were no beasts nearby, so as long as they didn't go far, it was relatively safe. Chirp, 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 chirp. After stepping out of the bamboo house, the surrounding insect cries became more evident, rising and falling, bustling but not rowdy, adding a sense of life to the summer night. Coo, coo, coo. Croak, croak, croak. Unidentified birds called in the trees by the pond and creek. Various frogs competed to call out, some attracting mates, others simply having nothing to do after a fill. Hearing all kinds of animal sounds and feeling the cool night breeze, Jiang Xuan felt much of his irritation ease away. If it weren't for the annoying bugs drawn to the firelight, the night walk would have felt even better. Slap! A snake appeared ahead, unmoved by the firelight, until Qi Shao used the spear to press down on the snake's head at a point behind the eyes, and then used a stone knife to cut off the snake's head, placing its body in her beast hide bag. Qi Shao's moves were smooth as flowing water, very fluid, without even a change in her facial expression. Many animals are attracted to the firelight at night, snakes included, and this unlucky snake stayed around a bit too long, thus becoming food for the vine tribe. Then, Qi Shao caught 2 unlucky frogs, an unlucky large insect, and finally reached a forest on the left side of the bamboo house, where she found a cluster of low plants. It was a type of wild grass that looked much like regular wild grass, but when approached, emitted a strange, unpleasant smell. This scent couldn't be classified as either fragrant or stinky. It was just unpleasant to the nose. As Qi Shao cut the grass with a stone knife, she explained to Jiang Xuan, this is called stinky grass. When a hunting team spends the night outside, they like to cut some, occasionally tossing a bit into the fire to ward off bugs. She cut a large heap, then found a vine nearby to tie it up, carrying it back. When the juice inside this bundle of stinky grass leaked out, the foul scent became even more pronounced. Jiang Xuan was surprised to notice that even the bugs attracted by the firelight had decreased. After returning to the bamboo house, Qi Shao placed the large bundle of stinky grass beside the fire pit, pulled out some burning charcoal from the fire, then took a handful of the stinky grass, bundled it together, and placed it above the charcoal. With the heat of the charcoal fire, the stinky grass emitted some smoke, the unpleasant smell instantly spreading, permeating the entire bamboo house. Even the 3 teenagers in their sleep frowned slightly, opened their sleepy eyes to glance at the fire pit, reassured, then went back to sleep. Although the smell was strong, its effectiveness was obvious. Jiang Xuan was surprised to find that the flies around the fire pit, as well as those annoying mosquitoes, were nearly all repelled by the smoke. Qi Shao said, bundling the stinky grass and placing it over the charcoal can make it burn longer. If thrown directly into the fire, it would soon turn to ash. Jiang Xuan nodded and said, if mosquitoes come back in the middle of the night, I'll put another bundle of stinky grass on. You know it, so I'll start handling these catches. Qi Shao yawned, efficiently cleaned the snake, frogs, and large bug caught on the way, then hung them above the fire for smoking. She thought for a moment, washed her hands, and then went to sleep. The hand-washing wasn't due to cleanliness. The tribe didn't care about that. It was mostly because Jiang Xuan liked cleanliness, and after getting his hands dirty each time, he would carefully wash up. Over time, Qi Shao also cultivated this habit of washing hands. Jiang Xuan lay back on the bed, and after waiting for a while, sure enough, no more annoying mosquitoes came to bite. Smelling that strange scent, he gradually drifted into slumber. The next day, just after Jiang Xuan stepped out of the bamboo house, an anxious gonsong ran over with a few wanderers. Chief, it's bad. A lot of bugs came to the field, and our crops are nearly eaten up. What? Upon hearing this, Jiang Xuan instantly sobered up, immediately thinking of a pest disaster. He didn't even have time to wash his face, urgently saying, quick, take me to see. The crops in the field were crucial winter food supplies for the vine tribe. After working so hard to clear so much land, planting so many food crops, they couldn't let a pest disaster ruin it all. Jiang Xuan followed Gonsong to the field and saw countless bugs ferociously devouring the crops, stripping leaves from many plants, with even the tenderer stalks not spared. The wanderers were working hard catching bugs, but their speed was too slow, practically a drop in the bucket compared to the massive number of bugs. Both surprised and furious, Jiang Xuan knew it was indeed a pest disaster. Chief, what should we do? There are too many bugs. We can't catch them all. The usually calm Song also lost his composure, as these crops bore much of his efforts, and watching them be consumed by bugs felt like heartache. Don't rush. I'm working on a solution. Jiang Xuan forced himself to calm down, relentlessly searching his memory for any knowledge on pest disaster management, trying to figure out a method suitable for their current situation. Chapter 32. Burning the Pests. Jiang Xuan stood in the middle of the vegetable field. All he could see were scenes of insects gnawing on crops, and he heard various rustling sounds. If he couldn't come up with a solution, this vast area of crops would all be eaten by insects, and even if they planted tuber-type plants, the autumn harvest yield would still be painfully low. Leader, don't panic. Think carefully. Since the witch in your dream taught you how to plant, they must have also taught you how to resolve situations like this. When Jiang Xuan was agitated, a pair of warm hands rested on his shoulders, and the gentle voice eased his nervous mood. That was Qi Xiao who had arrived. Jiang Xuan nodded, took a deep breath, and began recalling various experiences from his past life in dealing with pest infestations. Firstly, there is manual extermination. This method is the simplest but also the least efficient. With the manpower of the vine tribe, the crops would be gone before they finished killing all the pests. Secondly, there is chemical control, the quickest and most effective method. However, the vine tribe doesn't have insecticide, so this method is completely infeasible. Then there is the legendary method of raising ducks to eat insects. The vine tribe currently, apart from fish farming, hasn't pursued any other forms of husbandry and doesn't even have a single duck. This method is likewise infeasible. This doesn't work, and that doesn't work either. What exactly should be done? Everyone was waiting for the leader to come up with an idea to deal with these pests, but Jiang Xuan was at a loss, and this made him extremely uncomfortable. You all go ahead and start catching insects, and I'll think of a solution. After leaving the group with those words, Jiang Xuan walked away feeling dejected, hoping that taking a walk and seeing things might bring him new ideas. Song and the others exchanged worried glances. It was apparent that the leader seemed helpless. Song gritted his teeth and said, "Catch insects." Afterward, he picked up a bamboo tube, squatted on the ground, and quickly started catching insects. For each insect, he would squeeze its head and then drop it into the bamboo tube, which could be taken back to roast and eat. The wanderers also started moving again, including Qi Xiao and others, joining the insect-catching effort. Qi Xiao, while catching insects, occasionally glanced towards Jiang Xuan. The worry on her face was obvious. These fields were cleared bit by them, and Qi Xiao was well aware of how much effort Jiang Xuan had put into farming. If the pest infestation couldn't be resolved, clearing more land and planting more crops would be meaningless, as they would just become food for the insects. While they were skilled in dealing with wild beasts, they lacked experience in handling large-scale pest infestations. Qi Xiao could only feel anxious, unable to offer any help. Jiang Xuan walked slowly through the fields, his mind continually recalling various methods for dealing with pest infestations. However, since he hadn't personally experienced such an infestation, he lacked experience in this aspect. Could it be that the crops painstakingly planted would really yield nothing? Jiang Xuan was very unwilling to accept this outcome. As he walked, he found himself by the pond. Whoosh! Suddenly, from the pond, a large frog opened its mouth, its tongue darting out like lightning, sticking to a flying insect from the air and slowly swallowing it. Jiang Xuan's eyes lit up. If only there were a large number of frogs to release into the fields, they could eat plenty of insects. Sadly, it wasn't practical to catch frogs temporarily, so they could only rely on the nearby frogs entering the fields willingly to catch insects. Jiang Xuan's mood darkened again. Relying on the few nearby frogs to eat insects was like trying to extinguish a fire with a cup of water. Jiang Xuan thought until his head throbbed with pain, unconsciously walking back to the bamboo house. He sat by the hearth, gazing at the flickering flames, when suddenly a spark of inspiration flashed in his mind. Firelight, the phototaxis of insects. As the saying goes, understanding one principle leads to understanding many principles. Seeing the firelight naturally led Jiang Xuan to think of how to deal with those troublesome pests. The pests in the vine tribe fields, most were winged insects that flew over from other places. Precisely because of this sudden appearance, they caused severe damage to the crops in the fields. Because the vine tribe was completely unprepared, they hadn't anticipated a large number of insects suddenly invading. These winged insects have vast numbers, reproduce rapidly, possess immense destructive power, and are extremely frightening. However, they aren't completely without weaknesses. Their weakness lies in their phototaxis at night, like most flying insects. Every night is when they are most active and when they are most destructive. They rely on moonlight and faint starlight to determine the direction of flight. At this time, if a heap of bonfires appeared, it would disrupt their flight direction, causing them to dive into the fire pits and be reduced to ashes. Of course, that's the theory. Whether these pests would actually fly towards the bonfires at night was something that could only be determined by trying. Holding on to the mindset of treating a dead horse as if it were alive, Jiang Xuan immediately left the bamboo house, went to the fields, and instructed 3 of the wanderers to stop catching insects and focus on collecting firewood to pile in spots in the field without crops, forming many wood piles. Next came the wait for nightfall. Jiang Xuan, along with everyone, both diligently caught insects and anxiously awaited the arrival of night. Time flowed like water from sunrise to sunset, and daylight soon turned into night. As night fell, Jiang Xuan ignited a torch from the bamboo house area and then proceeded to the fields to ignite each of those piles of firewood. Crackle, crackle! The dry firewood quickly burned, emitting crackling sounds. Piles of bonfires ignited, and fierce flames lit up the night. The flying insects that were buzzing around the fields, gnawing at the crops, became confused at the sudden appearance of strong light sources. They flew around erratically and spiraled towards the fire pits. Pop! The first insect flew into the bonfire. Its wings burned away. It fell into the fire pit and was incinerated. This insect was just the beginning. Soon, countless flying insects surged towards the piles of bonfires, getting burned to death and exploding in the raging flames. Great! The waiting wanderers cheered, and Gansong was so excited that his face flushed red. Jiang Xuan stood beside a bonfire, watching those insects fall one by one, and finally let out a sigh of relief. This method was effective, especially when dealing with these flying insects. The results were remarkable. As long as these flying insects were burned to death, the remaining crawling insect had much less destructive power, and the vine tribe's crops could be saved. Throughout the night, countless insects were burned to death, and the smell of char was pervasive across the open field, deterring numerous wild beasts from approaching. The fire burned all night, until it was nearly dawn when Jiang Xuan and the others returned to the bamboo house to sleep. The wanderers were the same. They needed to frequently add dry wood or bamboo to the bonfires to keep them burning continuously. Only after dawn did the bonfires begin to die down, allowing everyone to rest. Except for one person, Gansong. He watched the last bonfire extinguish and picked up a scorched yellow insect from beside it, putting it in his mouth. Crunch! The insect was roasted crisp. Gansong chewed it a few times and swallowed. He walked slowly through the fields, observing the crops carefully and finding that the number of insects was already quite low, finally feeling a sense of relief. Brilliant, burning a few more times, and we should be able to kill all these insects, and what we've planted can continue to grow. Gansong stroked a round potato, seedling with its leaves damaged, a comforting smile appearing on his face. Chapter 33. Plants that eat insects. The campfire burned for 3 consecutive nights, and almost all the phototactic flying insects near the vine tribe were eradicated. With the efforts of people and various frogs, most of the wingless insects were also eliminated. The insect infestation gradually subsided, and the crops in the fields were preserved and continued to grow. However, Jiang Xuan was well aware that relying on campfires to kill insects was only a temporary solution. For a lasting and effective method, other solutions must be found. Insecticides were too complex for Jiang Xuan to concoct, so he had to give up on that. He pondered again and again, but couldn't think of a good method. Until one day, in a patch of grass in the open land, he discovered a dozen or so very peculiar plants. These plants looked like purple gourds, about half a meter tall, with an overall purplish-red color. Their plump bellies held some kind of liquid, while their tops had very narrow openings. The exterior and leaves were smooth and tough. Upon approaching, a distinctly sweet fragrance emitted from these plants, attracting many insects to hover nearby. Poof! When a flying insect passed overhead, the belly of the plant suddenly contracted. The immense pressure instantly sprayed the liquid inside through its narrow top, hitting the flying insect directly. The liquid was sticky, and once sprayed, the insect's wings became glued, preventing them from flapping. After struggling a few times, it fell to the ground. The insect struggled a bit on the ground before countless roots emerged, entwining it tighter and tighter until it could no longer move. The unlucky insect would soon become nourishment for these magical plants, helping them grow even better. Jiang Xuan observed the entire process of the plant capturing insects in amazement, exclaiming, "What kind of plant is this? It's amazing at catching insects." After observing for a while, Jiang Xuan dug up one plant and brought it back to ask Qi Xiao. This is called water arrowgrass. Qi Xiao took a quick glance at the plant and immediately identified it. Pointing at the plant's belly, Qi Xiao explained, when this plant encounters an insect, its belly contracts and sprays water, shooting the insect down as if with an arrow. That's why we call it water arrowgrass. Where did you find it? Jiang Xuan replied. Over in some undeveloped wasteland. About a dozen of them were growing. I happened to see it shoot down an insect, so I dug one up. Qi Xiao handed the water arrowgrass back to Jiang Xuan. Water arrowgrass is a good thing. Dig it up with the roots, dry it, and grind it into powder to treat wounds. So, it's also an herbal medicine. Jiang Xuan was amazed at this magical plant. Many plants are medicinal. Understanding them better can be life-saving in critical times. That's what the hunting team told me. Qi Xiao's expression dimmed a bit, clearly reminded of the now-destroyed deer tribe. Jiang Xuan patted Qi Xiao on the shoulder, his eyes filled with encouragement. I'm fine. Qi Xiao smiled at him, her gaze regaining its resolve. She had strong emotional control and rarely exposed her vulnerabilities in front of others. I plan to plant a row of water arrowgrass in the middle of each vegetable plot. Jiang Xuan shared his idea. I've been thinking it over these past days. To ensure a good harvest of the crops, pest control is essential. One way to control pests is to dig more ponds, as many frogs gather by pond sides and can eat a lot of insects. Another method is to plant various insect-catching plants like water arrowgrass in the fields. With these plants, as soon as insects approach the field, they'll be attracted and eaten, allowing our crops to grow safely. Besides catching insects, these plants can also serve medicinal purposes. We can harvest them directly when needed, achieving two benefits at once. Qi Xiao's eyes lit up after hearing Jiang Xuan's words. Jiang Xuan's plan sounded promising, with high feasibility. Those insect-eating plants usually emitted a strong fragrance to lure insects in, proving more attractive than the crops in the fields. Using these plants to deal with pests provided a perfect solution to crops being ravaged by insects. Sister, can you take me to find more of these insect-eating plants? Of course. There are plenty of such plants in the jungle. We just haven't specifically searched for them before, focusing mainly on hunting. Great. Then let's go into the mountains tomorrow and bring Shirqiu along to dig up some insect-eating plant for cultivation. After discussing their plan to go into the mountains with Qi Xiao, Jiang Xuan planted the languishing water arrowgrass, which had been uprooted in a patch of open ground in front of the bamboo house. The night passed uneventfully. Early the next morning, Jiang Xuan, Qi Xiao, and Shirqiu, equipped with tools, ventured into the vast jungle. The summer forest was full of vitality, with various plants growing wildly and animals bustling around. Goo goo goo! A large bird, upon encountering humans, quickly scurried away on its long legs. This was a flightless bird, known by the tribe as red-spotted bird due to the large red patterns on its feathers. The red-spotted bird had tiny wings but thick, robust legs, allowing it to run swiftly and nimbly through the forest. Red-spotted birds are quite suitable for domestication. If the tribe's crops yield a bountiful harvest and we have food surplus, taming red-spotted birds would be a great option. The red-spotted bird that had run off was unaware that it, along with its kind, had caught Jiang Xuan's attention. Qi Xiao and Shi Qiu cast another glance at the red-spotted bird, intrigued despite their unfamiliarity with domestication. The tribe preferred interacting with wild beasts and birds over crop farming. The three proceeded, with Qi Xiao deliberately heading to lower, wetter areas. As they walked, Qi Xiao explained to Jiang Xuan, the wetter the area, the more insects and consequently more insect-eating plants. Jiang Xuan nodded, aware that many flying insects' larvae developed in water and only crawled ashore to pupate and grow wings later. After a long walk, they reached a shallow wild pond. Qi Xiao scanned the area briefly, then focused on a specific plant. Found it bamboo tube-grass. Jiang Xuan followed her gaze and saw a peculiar patch of plants, about 20 to 30, growing closely together. This plant was quite unique, growing upright with a leaf at each node, curling into a bamboo tube shape. The breeze caused the plants to sway, and their bamboo tube-like leaves occasionally collided, making faint sounds. No wonder it's called bamboo tube-grass. Jiang Xuan realized the name was quite fitting. Curiously, he asked, "Can this bamboo tube-grass also catch insects?" "Yes." Qi Xiao pointed to a particular bamboo tube-grass plant. "Look." Jiang Xuan observed a flying insect hovering above the bamboo tube-grass. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The insect gradually neared the bamboo tube-grass, eventually entering the bamboo tube to greedily suck the sweet nectar secreted on its inner walls. Snap! Suddenly, a lid formed over the bamboo tube, trapping the insect inside. By the time it attempted to escape, it was already too late. Unbeknownst to many, the upper part of the bamboo, tube-like leaves of bamboo tube-grass had an additional leaf, usually pressed tightly against the tube and hard to notice without close inspection. Once an insect, drawn by the sweet nectar, entered the bamboo tube, the leaf quickly closed, acting as a seamless lid, capturing the insect inside. Moreover, the bamboo tube-grass's leaves continued to curl inward, eventually suffocating the insect, then gradually corroding and dissolving it with its secreted juices, ultimately turning it into nutrients for the plant. One impressive bamboo tube-grass. Witnessing the bamboo tube-grass's insect capturing in action, Jiang Xuan was amazed and felt enlightened. Simultaneously, he decided to dig up some of these bamboo tube-grasses, like the water arrowgrass, to plant in the fields for insect capture and crop protection. Chapter 34: Fangrass and Whip Tree. Jiang Xuan chose some smaller bamboo tube-grass, dug out over a dozen plants, carefully wrapped them in green moss, and placed them in the beast hide bag. The three of them continued forward, searching for more carnivorous plants. As they walked, a swamp appeared ahead. Be careful, everyone. Swamps are very dangerous. If you fall in by accident, it could be troublesome. Qi Xiao walked to the front. When she noticed something suspicious on the ground, she used her long spear to poke it. If water bubbled up, it indicated a swamp beneath. The most dangerous part of the swamp is the lush grass. They often hide the swamp underneath them. When someone steps on it, they sink right in. If they can't escape in time, they'll sink deeper and eventually become part of the swamp. Although swamps are the most dangerous, many insect-eating plants grow near them because there are plenty of mosquitoes and insects here. Smack! Qi Xiao slapped and killed a blood-sucking mosquito, continuing to search around. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Many mosquitoes and insects came over, circling around the three, trying to suck some blood, which was very annoying. Sister, is there a way to stop these mosquitoes from biting us? It's so annoying. Jiang Xuan kept waving his hand, but the mosquitoes were agile and couldn't be driven away. Wait, let me see what I can find. Qi Xiao searched nearby and her eyes brightened when she saw a cluster of low plants. This plant had unique leaves that looked like small, spread-out fans, very cute. She carefully approached, picked several handfuls of the plant's tender leaves with her bare hands, and began to rub them. This is called fan grass because its leaves look like fans. In the future, if you encounter this grass, pluck its leaves and rub them to extract the juice. Apply it to your body, and mosquitoes will keep away. After squeezing out the juice, Qi Xiao applied it directly to Jiang Xuan's face, arms, and legs. Afterward, she continued to rub and applied the fan grass juice on herself and Xiao as well. Jiang Xuan raised his arm and sniffed. The smell was a bit pungent, similar to stinky grass, yet different quinine scent. Hey, it really works. Soon, Jiang Xuan noticed a mosquito flying over, but flying away quickly instead of circling them as it did before. Xiao noticed it too, showing an equally excited expression. Qi Xiao remained calm since she had used this before. The tribe lived in the primitive jungle since childhood. They knew the animals and plants there well and could use them accordingly. Tribes unfamiliar with the jungle wouldn't survive there. After resolving the mosquito attack, the three continued searching for insect-eating plants. Croak! A huge frog in the swamp croaked like distant thunder, while various terrifying water beasts occasionally swam around. Above the swamp, sparse trees hosted numerous birds perching on branches, eyeing the water's surface, sometimes swooping down to eat fish, mosquitoes, or small water beasts. Hiss hiss! A large, black-striped python swam across the water, startling many birds and animals into hiding. This is the treacherous swamp, not only containing engulfing quagmires, but also very dangerous animals and plants. Jiang Xuan walked to the other side of the swamp, spotting a red tree stretching like a willow, with fist-sized fruits on its trunk. The fruit emitted an alluring fragrance that made one instinctively gulp. Be careful, don't go near that tree. Seeing Jiang Xuan about to approach, Qi Xiao quickly pulled him back. Is that tree very dangerous? Actually, Jiang Xuan was cautious, merely wanting to observe from close up. Of course, it's dangerous. That's a whip tree. If you inadvertently get too close, its branches will whip you. Someone once got whipped to death by a whip tree. Qi Xiao pointed to the ground beneath the whip tree, saying, "See those white bones? Those are the prey whipped to death by the whip tree." Jiang Xuan squinted and looked over, indeed finding many white bones beneath the whip tree, covered with moss, not easily noticeable without close inspection. Qi Xiao picked up a dried stick about arm thick. Watch this. Qi Xiao raised the stick like a spear and hurled it towards the whip tree sharply. Pop, pop, pop. Crack, crack. As soon as the stick touched the branches, all the branches of the whip tree moved like countless whips, breaking the stick into several pieces. The whip-like branches even made explosive sounds, showing how formidable their strength was. That's amazing. Jiang Xuan watched those terrifying whips with genuine admiration. The attack power of these magical plants was no less than that of animals. Moreover, staying still made their sudden attacks even more unguardable than animals. Of course, they had a fatal weakness. They couldn't move. Anyone familiar with them only needed to steer clear of their attack range, and there would be no danger. Qi Xiao continued. Despite the whip tree's danger, its fruits are valuable. It's said that eating them can increase your strength. Is it really that magical? Jiang Xuan found it unbelievable, sounding like a mythical story. I've only heard about it, never eaten it, because the whip tree is too formidable. Ordinary warriors can't pick its fruits. Qi Xiao was somewhat regretful about it, as the hunting team of the deer tribe was relatively weak, always avoiding the whip tree rather than daring to pick its fruits. Jiang Xuan thought for a while and said, "The most formidable feature of the whip tree is its branches. If there's a way to prevent the branches from hitting us, it might be possible to pick the fruits." Jiang Xuan pondered for a moment. Since we've come across it, how can we not give it a try? Xiao was eager and asked, "Leader, what should I do? We need some very thick dried sticks and vines." "I'll find them right away." The swamp was littered with dried sticks, and vines were everywhere, easy to find. The three gathered many dried sticks and vines, stacking them up high. Then Jiang Xuan chose sticks of roughly the same length, laid them out like a raft, and wrapped and tied them with layers of vines. The wooden raft Jiang Xuan made was wide and large, comprised of stout branches, appearing very sturdy. Done. This is a solid giant shield. Jiang Xuan made handle loops using vines at the bottom of the giant shield, letting Qi Xiao and Shi Qiu grab the loops together and lift the entire large shield. You plan to use this to block the whip tree's attacks? Qi Xiao, being smart, quickly caught on to Jiang Xuan's intent. Exactly. The whip tree's whips don't curve. If we hide under the shield, the whips can't hit us. Can it really work? Qi Xiao was still apprehensive about the whip tree, having been warned numerous times during past hunting expeditions and heard many terrifying legends about it. We'll know if we try. If it doesn't work, we'll just retreat. Encouraged by Jiang Xuan, the three slowly approached the whip tree, carrying the gigantic shield, feeling both tense and excited. Chapter 35. The Fruit That Can Increase Strength. Snap! Jiang Xuan and the two others raised their rudimentary large shields and approached the whip tree. The longest branch whipped across first, striking the shield with great force, producing a crisp sound. Keep moving forward, go a bit slower. Jiang Xuan led at the front, Qi Xiao was in the middle, and Shi Qiu was at the back. The three of them slowly moved toward the whip tree. Snap, snap, snap. As they got closer, the whip tree was infuriated. Countless branches swung violently at them, striking the large shields and creating a continuous series of sounds. The large shields perfectly defended against the attacks from above, leaving the three beneath unharmed as they got closer to the trunk of the whip tree. We're almost there. Qi Xiao was extremely excited. She had never thought she could one day personally pick the fruit of a whip tree. It was like a dream. Jiang Xuan and Shi Qiu were thrilled as well. Seizing the opportunity, they quickened their pace and reached the base of the whip tree. The sound of the whip tree striking became even more intense, but aside from losing some bark and wood chips, the shield remained very solid. The whip tree's fruits mature relatively early, and although it was summer now, the fruits were nearly ripe, emitting a tempting fruity fragrance. You guys hold the shield steady. I'll go pick the fruit. All right. Jiang Xuan swallowed hard, released one hand, reached towards the trunk of the whip tree, and stretched his right hand towards the nearest fruit. The whip tree's fruit is green and oval-shaped when unripe, and turns purple when ripe. A slit opens at the base of the ripe fruit, revealing the aromatic flesh inside, attracting prey. The fruit Jiang Xuan aimed to pick was a ripe purple one. Through the slit at its base, the plump red flesh inside could be seen clearly. Jiang Xuan accurately grasped the fist-sized fruit, gave it a gentle twist, and snapped the stem instantly. The fruit was successfully picked by Jiang Xuan. Snap, snap, snap. Upon picking the fruit, the whip tree became even more enraged, furiously striking the large shield. But it was futile. Its branches weren't strong enough to break the row of sturdy logs. After successfully picking one, Jiang Xuan pressed on to pick all 5 reachable fruits and even used the bamboo spear to poke down some higher ones. After half an hour, Jiang Xuan had picked almost all the ripe fruits from the whip tree, filling up half a beast-hide bag. The poor whip tree probably never imagined that its hard-won powerful attack would encounter a shield crafted by Jiang Xuan. If it could speak, it would probably be cursing loudly by now. Let's go. Satisfied, Jiang Xuan tied the beast-hide bag to his waist, and together with Qi Xiao and Shi Qiu, retreated while holding the large shield. After they left, the branches of the whip tree drooped powerlessly, probably exhausted from striking for so long. After getting away from the whip tree, the three discarded the cumbersome large shield and excitedly began to inspect the harvest this time. We've struck it rich, struck it rich. Jiang Xuan put down the beast-hide bag, opened the strap, and as he looked at the half-bag of fruits, his face lit up with a smile, his mood reaching its peak. Does eating this kind of fruit really increase strength? Shi Qiu picked up a fruit, checked it repeatedly, his heart still somewhat skeptical of the legend surrounding it. Qi Xiao also wasn't sure, as she had only heard the legend and never tried it herself. Jiang Xuan said, "What's the use of guessing? Just try eating it, and we'll know." Jiang Xuan casually picked up a whipped tree fruit, split it along the slit into two halves, then sliced off a small piece of flesh with the stone knife. Then he picked up a bug from a tree, placed the flesh before it. A legend is a legend. Jiang Xuan dared not be careless. He had to ensure the fruit was non-toxic to eat it confidently. Bugs are relatively weak. Generally, if a fruit is toxic, once a bug eats it, it quickly dies. The bug, lacking any wit, was enticed by the alluring scent of the fruit, immediately crawled onto it, munching away delightedly. Jiang Xuan was still not assured, so he caught a few more bugs and similarly fed them some whipped tree fruit. Half an hour passed, and not only did those bugs remain safe and sound, but they even searched eagerly for that kind of flesh. Finally, Jiang Xuan was at ease. Since it couldn't poison the bugs, even if the fruit had toxins, the tribe people's robust constitution would handle it. "Let me try one first." Jiang Xuan picked up a fruit, wiped it, and was about to put it into his mouth. However, Qi Xiao swiftly snatched his fruit and quickly placed it into her mouth, biting down directly and swallowed. Qi Xiao gave Jiang Xuan a smile, saying, "I've been craving it for so long, couldn't resist for a moment." Nonetheless, Jiang Xuan knew well. Qi Xiao's only reason for doing this was to test the poison first. Although they had tested it with bugs, the jungle's toxins are unpredictable. Someone had to eat first to truly ease the mind. Qi Xiao quickly finished eating the fist-sized fruit, then tied the beast-hide bag and said, "Let's go find plants that eat bugs first. We've got enough fruits. We can take our time eating them later." Jiang Xuan understood she was using the excuse to buy time, feeling silently moved. Qi Xiao was incredibly kind to him. No matter what danger they encountered, she was always the first to step forward, fearing Jiang Xuan would get hurt. With tacit understanding, the three continued walking through the marsh, searching for bug-eating plants. Soon enough, they truly found such a plant. The plant was called clapping flowers. It had red flowers blooming at the top, very vivid. The entire plant consisted of two leaves, resembling two big hands. These plants use the nectar within the flowers to lure insects. Once an insect flies over, the two ghostly hand-like leaves swiftly strike, catching and smothering the bug with a clap. Then the bugs fall to the ground, quickly getting enveloped by the roots of the clapping flowers and slowly digesting without being carried away by ants. Jiang Xuan dug up 7 or 8 seedlings of clapping flowers. As it was getting late, the three, carrying these seedlings and a bag full of whipped tree fruits, set off on the return journey. By dusk, the three returned to the vine tribe. Jiang Xuan first planted the seedlings of the clapping flowers in the ground, then returned to the bamboo house and opened the beast-hide bag containing the fruits. By then, half a day had passed since Qi Xiao ate the whipped tree fruit, without any signs of poisoning, proving the fruit was harmless. "Sis, after you ate the fruit, did you feel anything different?" Jiang Xuan looked at Qi Xiao, full of anticipation. Qi Xiao thought carefully and said, "On the way back, I felt much lighter all over, not as tired as before." Jiang Xuan's eyes lit up, indicating the whipped tree's fruit was indeed magical. At least it could replenish energy. "What about strength? Has your strength increased?" Jiang Xuan was most concerned about whether eating the whipped tree fruit could increase strength. "I just need to test it to find out." Qi Xiao walked outside, found a large stone she was familiar with, hugged it with both hands, and lifted it overhead. "Huh, my strength seems to have indeed increased a lot. It used to be tough lifting this stone." Qi Xiao gently put the large stone down, tested other stones, confirming her increased strength. "It's great. It seems the legend is true. The whipped tree's fruit indeed can increase strength." Jiang Xuan was beyond excited, realizing the effort hadn't been in vain. Simultaneously, he thought of more possibilities. Legend had it that some large tribes' warriors could eat fruits from mystical plants, allowing their strength to grow much faster than mere warriors. In retrospect, the whipped tree's fruit was evidently one of those mystical plant fruits enhancing strength. If more mystical plants could be found and more fruits harvested in the future, the vine tribe might eventually produce 3-color warriors, 4-color warriors, or even 5-color warriors. Thinking of this, Jiang Xuan's heart surged with passion. A powerful tribe needs strong warriors to protect it. If the vine tribe could increase a batch of mighty warriors through this method, they could truly establish themselves in this wild, primitive jungle. That night, Jiang Xuan divided the fruits among Qi Xiao, Go Tung, Shi Qiu, and Nan Xing, taking 2 more himself as the leader. After personally eating a fruit, Jiang Xuan felt his body awaken some potential, dispelling the day's fatigue completely, leaving him full of energy and his muscles feeling stronger. Chapter 36: Bird-Beaked Mosquito. After eating all the whipped tree fruits, Jiang Xuan clearly felt his strength had more than doubled compared to before, but he still didn't know how far he was from becoming a 2-color warrior. To become a 2-color warrior, it's not just about having great strength. The power, speed, and senses of a 2-color warrior far exceed those of a 1-color warrior. Only then can one hunt wild boars alone. Each whipped tree fruit contains a few small seeds scattered within the flesh. Jiang Xuan collected all these seeds together, then took them to the southern mountain forest, cleared a piece of land, and planted these seeds in rows. The 8 seedlings of thunder tree previously planted by Jiang Xuan were in the northern mountain forest of the vine tribe. This time, he chose the southern forest for the whipped tree seeds. In this way, when these plants grow up, the forests on both the north and south sides of the vine tribe will have defensive capabilities. Goating asked in confusion, "Chief, why plant these seeds here? Such good fruits, shouldn't they be planted near the bamboo house?" Shi Qiu rolled his eyes and said, "If you've seen the scene where the whipped tree attacks people, you wouldn't think that." Jiang Xuan said, "Shi Qiu is right. The whipped tree is very dangerous. Planting in the tribe would harm the tribe's people, but planting it here can defend against external enemies. Not just the whipped tree, but dangerous plants like cage vine, head-biting flower, can all be planted near the tribe. In the future, outsiders will find it difficult to enter our tribe unless they can fly." Goating scratched his head and said, "Outsiders can't get in, but we can't go out either. These fierce plants don't recognize people." Jiang Xuan laughed. "That's easy. Just dig a tunnel underground, and we can come and go freely. Put 2 guards beside the tunnel, and outsiders will find it hard to get in." Goating admired him and said, "Chief, you're so smart." The others looked at Jiang Xuan with eyes full of admiration. After planting all the seeds, they took the stone axe and chopped down 2 large trees that were shading the area. Chopping trees with the stone axe was very laborious, but fortunately, the 5 of them were warriors and had just eaten the whipped tree fruits, so their strength increased. After spending some time, they successfully felled the trees. Jiang Xuan dragged these 2 large trees aside, leaving them for now. Once autumn dried them out, they could be brought back and used as firewood. Afterward, they returned to the tribe. Qi Xiao led Go Tung and others to hunt, while Jiang Xuan took the wanderers to continue transplanting those insect-eating plants. This is water arrow grass. It captures insects by shooting water arrows. It needs to be planted densely. This way more water arrows are shot, increasing the chance of hitting insects. Jiang Xuan, along with Gonsong and others, transplanted the water arrow grass found in the open ground into the vegetable garden, planting them in 3 rows closely together. This is bamboo tube grass. It catches insects with its bamboo tube-like leaves, doesn't need to be planted as dense. This is clapping flowers. They catch insects by clapping leaves, can be planted more sparsely. Jiang Xuan led the wanderers to spread these insect-eating plants throughout 30 acres of cultivated land. Now, it seemed there were too few plants catching not many insects, but by autumn, when these plants bloomed and fruited, there would be seeds, and next year the vine tribe could plant them extensively. As long as planting succeeds, the vine tribe won't need to rely on manual insect catching anymore. These plants will actively attract and eliminate insects. After planting those plants, the sun had already set, and Jiang Xuan and the wanderers returned to the bamboo house. The night fell, and the primitive jungle became lively again. countless birds and beasts emerged, fighting for survival round after round. In the cultivated land, the newly planted insect-eating plants slowly stretched their roots into the soil, absorbing water and nutrients. Not long after, their wilted stems and leaves became plump again and slowly spread out, regaining vitality. These insect-eating plants are very resilient. Once they adapt to the new environment, they will exude even stronger vitality than before. Night wind rose, a round moon ascended slowly from the horizon, its light veiling the earth in mystery. Crackle, crackle! In the bamboo house, the firewood was burning continuously. After eating and drinking, Jiang Xuan remembered there were still a few fan grasses in the beast hide bag and took them out. How could I forget these fan grasses? Jiang Xuan took the bone plow, went outside with the fan grasses, found a patch of land, and planted them. Next year, these fan grasses should grow into a large area. Then I can extract some juice and try making mosquito repellent. The juice of fan grass, when applied to the skin, can repel mosquitoes. It's unknown how long it can be stored after extraction. If a way can be found to make it into long-lasting mosquito repellent, stored for a long time, there won't be any fear of mosquito bites when hunting in the mountains or sleeping at night. No one likes the feeling of mosquito bites. It's not the blood-sucking that's annoying, but the itchy bump left behind that just gets worse the more you scratch. After planting the fan grasses, Jiang Xuan returned to the bamboo house and shut the door securely. Before sleeping, he added a handful of stinky grass to the embers by the hearth to repel mosquitoes. Stinky grass needs to be burned to be effective, but once burned and blown by the wind, mosquitoes will fly in again. If only long-lasting mosquito repellent could be made earlier, then we wouldn't have to smell this stinky odor every day. Jiang Xuan lay back on the bamboo bed, resting on a newly made reed pillow, sleeping on the reed mat, listening to the crackle of burning firewood, and quickly fell asleep. The night grew deeper, and the stinky grass in the hearth slowly burned. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Under the moonlight, a giant mosquito flew from the southern forest toward the vine tribe. Its wingspan was 1/2 meter long, the translucent wings flapping at an astonishing speed, allowing swift flight. This giant mosquito had black and purple patterns all over its body, its most peculiar feature being its mouth part. Other mosquitoes subsist on animal blood or plant sap and nectar, hence their mouth parts are needle-like. But this giant mosquito's mouth part was sharp like a bird's beak, slightly curved, and could open and close. This rare giant mosquito was known as the bird-beaked mosquito. The bird-beaked mosquito is a battle pet of the mosquito tribe, aiding the mosquito tribe warriors in hunting, vigilance, and reconnaissance. The appearance of this bird-beaked mosquito indicates that mosquito tribe warriors have reached the vicinity. It serves as a scout. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The bird-beaked mosquito flew rapidly, and in the blink of an eye, it was over the vine tribe, spotting the bamboo house and sensing people inside. However, at this moment, the scent of stinky grass wafted up to high altitude, reaching the bird-beaked mosquito's side. An unpleasant odor irritated the mosquito's senses. It froze, wings slowing. It was like someone who detests stinky tofu, suddenly catching a whiff of the most rancid stench and turning green. Buzz! The bird-beaked mosquito fled from the vine tribe at the fastest speed, without looking back. Chapter 37, The Mosquito Tribe, has arrived. The bird-beaked mosquito flew all the way south, finally reaching the vicinity of the swamp. On a clearing next to the swamp, more than 50 warriors of the mosquito tribe's hunting team leaned against a large tree and built a temporary shelter, lighting a bonfire. The roof of the shelter was made from the giant shield crafted by Jiang Xuan. Among these warriors of the mosquito tribe's hunting team, the leader was a middle-aged man named Huan. Huan was not tall, but he exuded a strong aura, with a fierce gaze giving off a sense of danger. On his face, besides the totem pattern of the mosquito tribe, there were 3 horizontal stripes painted in green, red, and yellow. This signified that he was a powerful 3-color warrior. Buzz! The giant bird-beaked mosquito landed on Hu Wen's shoulder after flying back. "Did you find anything?" Hu Wen's voice was somewhat rough and hoarse, which made him seem even more fierce. "Buzz, buzz, buzz." The bird-beaked mosquito's wings made a special sound, and it flew a short distance south, and returned to Hu Wen's shoulder. This was a very unique form of communication that only the people of the mosquito tribe, who had long contact with bird-beaked mosquitoes, could understand. Hu Wen glanced at the southern forest and then at the giant shield above him, saying, "As expected, there are other tribes in this forest." Someone beside him asked, "Leader, should we go search for them?" Hu Wen said in a deep voice, "No rush. We are unfamiliar with this forest. We'll investigate the tribe after dawn." "Listen to the leader." The 50 warriors echoed and then quietly roasted food over the bonfire. Their food included some prey hunted during the day and some wild vegetables dug nearby, as well as some wild fruits. In the surrounding woods, there were more than a dozen bird-beaked mosquitoes foraging, resting on branches when tired and alerting to dangers. After eating, they left to keep watch, while others lay down beside the bonfire to rest. With over a dozen bird-beaked mosquitoes guarding the bonfire, ordinary mosquitoes dared not approach, or if they did, would be eaten by the bird-beaked mosquitoes. Thus, the mosquito tribe's people could sleep peacefully in the jungle without worrying about being bitten by mosquitoes. That night, heavy rain fell, but since they had prepared the roof beforehand, the hunting team's bonfire was not extinguished. The next day, led by the bird-beaked mosquitoes, the mosquito tribe's hunting team quietly ventured toward the vine tribe. Yet, the vine tribe had no idea that danger was drawing near. First year of the vine tribe's establishment, May 15th, sunny. "Today is such a good day." Jiang Xuan stepped out of the bamboo house and saw a sky of pure blue with only a hint of dawn in the east. Last night's rain had washed the forest clean, and even the air was much fresher. Jiang Xuan walked to the clearing in front of the bamboo house and discovered the leaves of the fan grass had spread open again, like small fans gently waving in the wind, looking very beautiful. He walked to the pond. Last night's heavy rain had raised the water level high, and water was still flowing out from the outlet. "Luckily, I blocked the inlet last night, or else the pond dam would have flooded and all the fish would have escaped." After months of effort, the vine tribe now had 3 ponds. The first pond was in front of the bamboo house, the second in the middle of the farmland, and the third at the edge of the farmland. These ponds not only bred fish, but also provided water for irrigating crops during droughts. Moreover, the ponds were habitats for numerous frogs and toads, which consumed many insects each night. Jiang Xuan walked a short distance and saw someone crouching in the field, busy even earlier than him. Curiously, Jiang Xuan approached and found it was Gan Song. "Gan Song," Jiang Xuan called. "Leader." Gan Song turned and saw Jiang Xuan quickly standing to greet him, holding a small stone hoe covered with mud. "What are you busy with so early?" "Leader, last night's heavy rain and wind toppled the bamboo tube grass and clapping flowers we just planted yesterday. I'm straightening them and adding soil." Jiang Xuan walked closer and found indeed many insect-eating plants battered crookedly by the rain and wind. Some Gan Song had already straightened, with soil piled around the roots. Jiang Xuan nodded. "It's commendable that you care for these plants. Thank you for your effort." Gan Song immediately shook his head. "No effort at all. It's my duty." Jiang Xuan patted his solid shoulder. "I see all you do for the tribe, Gan Song. The tribe won't treat you badly." "Thank you, leader." Gan Song grinned, showing neat teeth, feeling encouraged spiritually by the leader's acknowledgement, which fueled his drive. Ever since losing an arm, he was even more determined, yearning for others' approval, not wanting to be looked down upon. This was why he worked tirelessly since arriving at the Vine tribe. Jiang Xuan squatted down and worked with Gan Song to straighten and support the slanting plants, then returned to the bamboo house for breakfast. After breakfast, Jiang Xuan continued polishing a leg bone of the bighorn sheep. He had worked on this leg bone for several days, sharpening its end acutely. After polishing, He tightly bound the leg bone to a spear shaft made from the purple blood tree with tree bark rope, then coated it with strong, adhesive fish swim bladder glue to prevent detachment. Once done, a sturdy bone spear was fashioned. Phew phew. Jiang Xuan swung the newly made bone spear a few times, finding it quite handy, showing a satisfied smile. The bamboo spear is too light. Too much strength makes it hard to use properly. The bone spear is better. Jiang Xuan had previously used bamboo spears, but his strength had increased several times, making the lightweight bamboo spear unsuitable. Therefore, he crafted a bone spear using the hard leg bone of the bighorn sheep, a time-consuming task, but worthwhile. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Just as Jiang Xuan finished the bone spear and prepared to go hunting in the mountains, he suddenly heard the buzzing sound of insect wings. The buzzing was not as loud as that of giant dragonflies, but was dense, clearly more than one. At this moment, Song, who was working in the distance, shouted, "It's giant mosquitoes! The mosquito tribe is here!" This shout alarmed all the people of the Vine tribe. Those wanderers who had witnessed the mosquito tribe's brutality screamed and ran towards the bamboo house, seeking protection from the tribal warriors of the Vine tribe. Jiang Xuan, Qi Xiao, Go Tung, Shi Qiu, and Nanxing immediately grabbed their long spears, short spears, and bows and arrows to prepare for defense. As they headed out, Qi Xiao grabbed Jiang Xuan, her expression serious. "Xuan, if there are too many, you must flee to hide at the foot of Stone Mountain. I'll cover for you." Jiang Xuan urgently responded, "Sis, what nonsense are you saying? I am a tribe's leader." After saying this, Jiang Xuan was about to break free from Qi Xiao and continue forward. However, Qi Xiao held him tightly. "Xuan, listen to me." Jiang Xuan's eyes reddened slightly as he turned back to look at Qi Xiao. Qi Xiao gazed into Jiang Xuan's eyes. "You must understand, our Vine tribe is small, with so few people. If the leader falls, everything collapses. My life doesn't matter. As long as you are here, the tribe is here." Qi Xiao gently caressed Jiang Xuan's face. "You're my only family now. I will never let you be harmed. Do you understand?" Instantly, Jiang Xuan's eyes brimmed with tears. He nodded with difficulty and then charged out, with Qi Xiao following closely behind, sprinting ahead with all her might. Chapter 38, Surreptitious Maneuverer. Jiang Xuan rushed outside, discovering that a dozen giant mosquitoes had already flown over the bamboo house, circling continuously. In the southern forest, more than 50 tribal warriors of the mosquito tribe had already appeared, with Huan leading them, coldly eyeing the Vine tribe. The mosquito tribe's hunting team consists of over 21 color warriors, more than 30 ordinary warriors with rich hunting experience, and a leader Huan is an even more formidable 3-color warrior, making their overall strength very powerful. On the Vine tribe side, there are only 5 one-color warriors plus 12 wanderers, putting them at an absolute disadvantage. Song, having lost an arm, no longer counts as a true warrior, yet he holds a stone spear, resolutely standing with Jiang Xuan and the others. Huan sneered at the Vine tribe's totem pattern on the boulder and said, "So few people, 2 broken houses, and you call this a tribe?" The nearby tribal warriors of the mosquito tribe echoed, "Exactly, I thought there was a big tribe here. Turns out it's just a few dreamer wanderers. Ha." The other tribal warriors of the mosquito tribe laughed heartily, clearly viewing this tiny tribe as a joke. The people of the Vine tribe heard these words and felt extremely angry, their eyes almost blazing. Jiang Xuan, having lived 2 lives, had heard even more piercing words and thus remained calmer than the others, especially when he noticed the 3 horizontal stripes on Huan's face. Knowing this is a powerful 3-color warrior, an enemy they absolutely cannot defeat. The saying goes, where there's life, there's hope. Jiang Xuan immediately gave up the idea of fighting desperately, turning instead to think about escape. Running directly is definitely not an option. They're standing in open space, and if they dare to turn and run, the mosquito tribe will throw spears, causing heavy casualties among the Vine tribe. They must think of a way to stall them and only by diving into the bamboo forest will they have a chance to escape under the stone mountain and seek shelter from the ancient vine. The only uncertainty Jiang Xuan has is the attack range of the ancient vine, so theoretically, the closer to Stone Mountain, the safer. While Jiang Xuan was devising a way to escape, Huan observed Jiang Xuan and the others. Huan noticed that the people of this small tribe looked rather robust, without the appearance of long-term starvation and malnourishment. He immediately concluded that this small tribe must be hiding a lot of food. As for where the food came from, he didn't care as long as he could grab it. Huan said coldly, "Hand over all your food to the mosquito tribe, and I might consider not killing you." As soon as the vine tribe heard about handing over all the food, they panicked. For tribal people, food is their lifeblood. Asking them to hand it all over is more painful than killing them. Those who have not experienced long-term hunger cannot understand the tribe's obsession with food. However, Jiang Xuan immediately spoke up. "Fine, as long as no one is killed. I can give you the food." Gonsong anxiously said, "Leader, we can't give it to them." Jiang Xuan held Gonsong's hand, looked at him, and whispered, "Trust me." Gonsong gritted his teeth and eventually stepped back, but held his stone spear even tighter. Huan glanced at the young Jiang Xuan and said contemptuously, "Kid, are you the leader?" "That's right. I'm the leader of the Vine tribe." Jiang Xuan replied calmly. A mosquito tribe warrior laughed. "Wanderers will always be wanderers. Picking a half-grown kid as leader, ha-ha." The other mosquito tribe warriors laughed, as if they heard an enormous joke. Huan observed the expressions of other people from the Vine tribe and found that they were really all looking at Jiang Xuan. Evidently, Jiang Xuan was not lying. Huan said, "Since you are the leader, hand over all the food you have here." Huan stared at Jiang Xuan like a viper. Word by word he said, "Remember, I said all the food. If I find you've hidden food, everyone will die. Of course, the food is in the bamboo house. I'll take them to carry it out." Jiang Xuan agreed to Huan without hesitation, then waved his hand for everyone to retreat into the bamboo house. He himself dared not turn around, just watch the people from the mosquito tribe and step backward. The Vine tribe people were somewhat hesitant, but at the critical moment, Qi Xiao came forward and said to everyone, "Listen to the leader." They looked at each other and finally decided to trust Jiang Xuan and Qi Xiao, retreating into the bamboo house. Huan stood in place, leisurely watching the people of the Vine tribe retreat one by one into the bamboo house. Then, Huan waved his hand, and over 50 warriors of the mosquito tribe quickly encircled the bamboo house, not giving them a chance to escape. Inside the bamboo house, 16 pairs of eyes were fixed on Jiang Xuan, waiting for his next instruction. Jiang Xuan glanced outside, lowered his voice, and urged, "The tunnel! Use the tunnel!" Upon hearing Jiang Xuan's words, Qi Xiao and the others' eyes instantly lit up. They had surprisingly forgotten the escape tunnel they had dug earlier. Over 2 months ago, worrying the tribe might be attacked, Jiang Xuan had foresightly dug a tunnel in the bamboo house. Initially, the tunnel was not deep, just enough to hide people. Later, Jiang Xuan felt it was not secure enough and continued digging, extending it directly to the bamboo forest in front of Stone Mountain. The entrance to the tunnel was under the bamboo bed in Qi Xiao's small room, and without flipping the bamboo bed, it couldn't be discovered. "Follow me." Qi Xiao grabbed a ready-made torch, lit it in the fire pit, then ran into the room, flipped up the bamboo bed, revealing a dark tunnel entrance. Without hesitation, she entered the tunnel holding the torch and gestured for the wanderers to follow. Gotung, Shi Qiu, and Nanxing each grabbed a torch, lit them, and one by one entered the tunnel. Jiang Xuan was the last to enter the tunnel, and he replaced the bamboo bed, covering the tunnel entrance. The group passed through the long tunnel, directly entering the dense bamboo forest, and after emerging from another tunnel entrance, they quickly ran toward Stone Mountain. On the other side, Huan waited outside for a while, finding no movement inside, and immediately became suspicious. "Go in and check." Huan waved his hand, and 2 hunting team warriors immediately rushed into the bamboo house. However, When they found the bamboo house empty, they were dumbfounded. One immediately ran outside the bamboo house, shouting loudly, "Leader, there's no one inside." Impossible. Huan could not believe someone could escape under such tight encirclement. He grasped a stone knife and immediately rushed into the bamboo house. Inside the bamboo house, everything seemed normal. The fire pit's flames were still burning, and above the fire pit hung quite a bit of smoke-dried meat. But there was not a single person. It was as if the people of the Vine tribe had suddenly vanished, leaving no traces. Huan was first incredulous, then furiously jumped. "Find them! Find them for me!" The outside warriors of the Mosquito tribe also stormed in, overturning everything in the bamboo house, not even sparing the bamboo beds. During the thorough search, Qi Xiao's room's bamboo bed was also flipped up, exposing the tunnel entrance. "Leader, there's a hole here." The one who first found the tunnel immediately reported. Huan ran over and looked at the dark tunnel entrance, gritting his teeth. So they tunneled out. Huan felt a sense of humiliation from being tricked, which made him very uncomfortable. Chase them, kill all those damned wanderers. Yes, under Huan's leadership, these warriors of the Mosquito tribe grabbed several burning firewood from the fire pit and entered the tunnel with gritted teeth, vowing to kill all of the Vine tribe. Chapter 39, the entire army wiped out. At the foot of Stone Mountain, Jiang Xuan led everyone to the altar, praying to the ancient vine, hoping it would protect the people of the Vine tribe. Soon, the buzzing of bird-beaked mosquitoes suddenly came from above the bamboo forest. A dozen bird-beaked mosquitoes with wingspans over 1/2 meter long followed the scent of humans, first finding the people of the Vine tribe, and hovered above them, guiding the Mosquito tribe warriors behind them. Swoosh! Qi Xiao picked up her bow and arrow and shot at the bird-beaked mosquito in the air. However, the bird-beaked mosquito flew quickly, constantly changing positions, and the arrow missed. "Chief, what should we do?" Someone started to panic. The ancient vine had no response, yet they had already been discovered, putting them in an extremely disadvantageous position. "I'm trying to figure out a way." Jiang Xuan was also very anxious. Now that they were targeted by the bird-beaked mosquitoes, escaping quietly was impossible. These bird-beaked mosquitoes would keep an eye on them from above and report back to the Mosquito tribe, making it impossible for them to escape. "Quick, they're over there. Chase after them. Kill these damned wanderers." In the bamboo forest, the voices of the Mosquito tribe warriors were getting closer. The people of the Vine tribe slowly retreated to the foot of Stone Mountain, looking fearfully at the dense bamboo forest. Just when Jiang Xuan was feeling desperate, suddenly, the sound of something like a small helicopter came from above. Above Stone Mountain, a giant dragonfly with a wingspan of 6 meters, its 360-degree eyes locked onto those bird-beaked mosquitoes, its 4 giant wings flapping rapidly, stirring up a gust of wind. Whoosh, whoosh! The giant dragonfly swooped down, and as it passed over the bamboo forest, it instantly captured a bird-beaked mosquito. Its 6 barbed legs firmly grabbed the bird-beaked mosquito, making it impossible to escape. Crunch! The giant dragonfly's powerful pincers crushed the bird-beaked mosquito's head in one bite, then quickly chewed with its sharp mouthparts. The giant dragonfly was so large that the bird-beaked mosquito was like an ordinary mosquito in its mouth and was devoured in a few bites. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The giant dragonfly dove again, grabbing a bird-beaked mosquito that hadn't flown far and devoured it in a few bites as well. The remaining bird-beaked mosquitoes fled into the bamboo forest in a panic, instinctively using the dense bamboo to hide from predators. Good. The people of the Vine tribe cheered at the scene. Even Jiang Xuan felt very surprised. He had been pondering about taming a giant dragonfly before, but unexpectedly, at a critical moment, this one, always residing on Stone Mountain, proved to be a great help. Although Jiang Xuan knew very well that the giant dragonfly was only hunting for food, without those annoying bird-beaked mosquitoes, they had a chance to escape. Run! Jiang Xuan did not intend to wait for death. Since the ancient vine showed no response, they could only escape on their own. Any escape was worth trying. However, they hadn't run far when a mosquito tribe warrior with a gloomy face appeared in front of them, the 3 horizontal stripes on his face very conspicuous. "Where do you think you're going?" He was Xuan, the hunting captain of the mosquito tribe, a fierce 3-color warrior. The strength and speed of a 3-color warrior far surpassed other warriors. So Xuan was the first to catch up to the base of Stone Mountain, blocking the people of the Vine tribe. Xuan first glanced at the crude yellow mud altar at the foot of Stone Mountain, sneered disdainfully, and then looked at Jiang Xuan coldly. "Kid, you dare play tricks on me? Later, I will torture you to death." Under Xuan's gaze, Jiang Xuan felt the hair all over his body standing up. This person was too powerful. Even if they all attacked together, they would definitely lose. The giant dragonfly that had devoured 2 bird-beaked mosquitoes had already returned to Stone Mountain, confirming Jiang Xuan's suspicion. It had come down only to hunt and was not truly intending to help the Vine tribe fend off enemies. At this moment, other mosquito tribe warriors also arrived at the foot of Stone Mountain, surrounding the people of the Vine tribe, completely cutting off their escape route. Now, the people of the Vine tribe were truly cornered. Were they really going to die here today? Jiang Xuan was extremely unwilling in his heart. He had survived in this world with great difficulty and even established a tribe. If he died here just like this, it would be an unfair death. "Kid, where should I cut you first?" Xuan approached step by step, pulling out a bone knife from his waist, a cruel, cold smile on his face. At this moment, Qi Xiao stepped forward, standing in front of Jiang Xuan, holding the bone spear tightly in her hand. "If you want to kill my brother, you have to kill me first." "Sister." Jiang Xuan was deeply moved, but the current situation left him feeling extremely aggrieved. Weakness leads to bullying. This truth is vividly embodied in the barbaric primordial world. Unfortunately, the newly established Vine tribe was too weak to grow before encountering the ferocious mosquito tribe. If Jiang Xuan had a few more years, he believed that the Vine tribe could have strengthened, or at least not been slaughtered like now. Xuan continued to walk forward with a cold smile on his face, saying, "Don't worry, I'll kill every one of you." The encirclement formed by the warriors of the mosquito tribe was getting smaller, and they were about to launch an attack. Otherwise, should they just fight to the death? Jiang Xuan thought. They absolutely couldn't surrender without a fight, dying disgracefully. Even if destined to die, they should fall on the path of a charge, not be humiliated with a knife to their throat. Jiang Xuan gripped his bone spear tightly. He glanced back at Go Tung, Shi Qiu, Nanxing, and Gan Song, seeing the rage in their eyes. As for the other wanderers, their combat strength was too weak. Even fighting desperately would be futile, almost negligible. Jiang Xuan signaled to Go Tung and the others, planning to attack together when Xuan got closer, even if it meant stabbing him once in death. Go Tung and the others seemed to understand Jiang Xuan's look, gripping their weapons even tighter. Xuan moved closer. Jiang Xuan's breathing grew rapid, and in front of him, Qi Xiao was ready to strike. However, just then, Xuan suddenly stopped, not moving forward anymore. Xuan noticed something seemed to be entangling his feet. He looked down and found 2 vines wrapped around his knees. "What's this?" Xuan forcefully pulled at his legs, attempting to break the vines with sheer strength. Swish, swish, swish. However, the vines proved incredibly sturdy. Even with his terrifying strength as a 3-color warrior, he couldn't break free. They not only continued to grow rapidly, but also got thicker. In a blink, the vines had reached Xuan's chest and kept wrapping around. Get off, get off! Xuan panicked. The suddenly appearing strange vines plunged him into fear, turning his murderous intent into a desperate escape. "Ah, my legs! Save me!" At the same time, all the mosquito tribe warriors cried out in shock, screamed in pain, and yelled for help. Like Xuan, they were entangled by the sudden, strange vines, tightening the more they struggled, plunging them into unlimited terror. Initially about to fight desperately, the Vine tribe members were first stunned, then filled with joy. Jiang Xuan exclaimed excitedly. The Vine God! It's the Vine God in action! Great, we've been saved! Go Tung and the others cheered, while the wanderers all knelt on the ground, both surprised and terrified by this bizarre scene. At this moment, Qi Shao acted decisively, dashing forward and piercing Huin's throat with her stone spear. Gurgle! Gurgle! Huin widened his eyes, wanting to say something but unable to utter a word. Never could he have imagined dying in this manner, in a small tribe established by a wanderer. No one can kill my brother. Qi Shao pulled out the bone spear, spat on the ground, blood dripping from the spear's tip onto the soil. Huin's body crashed to the ground, then became entirely enwrapped by the vines, like a large cocoon woven by the vines. Kill them, Jiang Xuan shouted, and the people of the Vine tribe attacked in unison, slaying all the remaining Mosquito tribe warriors with the help of the ancient vine. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The bird-beaked mosquitoes seemed to realize something and all fled out of the bamboo forest, escaping southward into the forest. On Stone Mountain, the giant dragonfly came out again, consuming several bird-beaked mosquitoes. In the end, only 3 successfully escaped, disappearing into the vast primitive jungle. On Stone Mountain, the ancient vine was bathed in green light, looking even more mysterious. Chapter 40 Weapons and Traps. After everything was over, the vines slowly retracted, leaving only more than 50 pale skeletons on the ground, with all the flesh and blood vanished. Thank the Vine God for destroying the enemies. Jiang Xuan sincerely thanked the ancient vine. Had it not been for the ancient vine's intervention, it would have been the people of the Vine tribe lying on the ground now. Thank the Vine God. The others also bowed to the ancient vine. Those wanderers witnessed the miracle performed by the ancient vine and developed a fervent belief in it, which enhanced their sense of belonging to the Vine tribe. Above the ancient vine, green light flickered and gradually receded, returning to its usual state, with only the green leaves rustling in the breeze. In the sunlight, a giant dragonfly nonchalantly clung to one of the ancient vine's tendrils, wings folded, resting beneath the green leaves. After a long time, everyone stood up. Goating asked, "Chief, what should we do with these bones?" Jiang Xuan thought for a moment and said, "Hang all the skulls on the trees in the southern forest and bury the other bones in a pit. Moreover, collect all the weapons they left behind and move them to the bamboo house." Hanging the skulls on trees outside the tribe serves as a powerful deterrent for outsiders who come to the Vine tribe later. But the Vine tribe is currently too weak and can only use this method to intimidate. Those weapons, on the other hand, are great assets that can significantly replenish the tribe's armaments. After all, making primitive weapons is very time-consuming. Upon receiving Jiang Xuan's instructions, everyone in the Vine tribe immediately got busy. They first dug a large pit to bury all the bones except the skulls, and then split into groups to hang more than 50 skulls on the tree branches in the southern forest of the tribe. As for the weapons, clothing, and personal belongings left by the Mosquito tribe hunting team, they were all moved to the bamboo house and would be distributed later by Jiang Xuan. By the time they finished these tasks, it was already nearing dusk. In the southern forest of the Vine tribe, more than 50 ghastly white skulls hung from the tree branches, swaying with the wind, looking very frightening at first glance. At night, Jiang Xuan and 4 others gathered around the fire pit in the bamboo house to discuss the distribution of those weapons. Jiang Xuan said, "Though we killed those people with the help of the Vine God today, no one knows how many more of them there are or when they might attack again." Jiang Xuan looked around and said, "Therefore, I suggest giving each of those wanderers a weapon for self-defense." Qi Shao nodded and said, "I agree. The wanderers performed quite bravely today. The tribe admires strength. Brave individuals always earn respect. If the wanderers had begged for mercy today, Qi Shao would have looked down on them." "I agree as well." "Agreed. I'll follow the chief's decision." The 3 youngsters also voiced their agreement. Jiang Xuan said, "Good. Since everyone agrees, Go Tung, call the wanderers over to get their weapons." "I'll go now." Go Tung immediately got up, lit a torch, went to the Wanderer's bamboo house and conveyed the chief's message to them. Gonsong was quite excited because it meant they had officially gained recognition from the Vine tribe. The other wanderers were also very excited. Led by Go Tung, the 12 wanderers followed him into the large bamboo house. In the bamboo house, Jiang Xuan stood up and told the wanderers, "As I said before, as long as you are loyal to the tribe will not treat you poorly. Today, you all were very brave, and the tribe has decided to reward each of you with a weapon." Gonsong expressed his gratitude excitedly. "Thank you, Chief." The wanderers' eyes sparkled as they looked at the pile of weapons on the ground. Jiang Xuan pointed at the weapons on the ground and said, "Pick whichever weapon you want. Remember, only one each." The weapons left behind by the Mosquito tribe hunting team numbered over 100, as most warriors had 2 or 3 weapons, such as long spears, short spears, stone knives or bone knives, and bows and arrows. Jiang Xuan and the 4 others had already chosen once from these weapons and took the best ones because as warriors, having better weapons maximizes their combat effectiveness. The rest of these weapons were mostly intact as they were hunting team weapons, and both the material and craftsmanship were relatively good. Seeing so many weapons to choose from, the wanderers beamed with joy. Some preferred spears, others preferred knives, and some liked bows and arrows. Choosing a weapon they liked would allow them to unleash greater combat power. One at a time, Jiang Xuan prevented the wanderers from scrambling and asked them to line up and choose one by one. Under Jiang Xuan's influence, the wanderers had to restrain their excitement and choose one by one. Gonsong chose a bone knife because, with only one arm, a stone spear was not very handy for him, making a shorter and more flexible bone knife a good choice. Other wanderers also each selected a weapon they fancied, each filled with joy. "All right, since everyone has chosen, go to sleep. Work well from now on, and the tribe will certainly not treat you poorly." "Thank you, Chief." Gonsong expressed his gratitude again and then led the wanderers back to sleep. Many wanderers didn't sleep well that night because so much had happened, greatly impacting their thoughts. But they all shared one consensus. Staying in the Vine tribe was the right choice. After the wanderers left, Jiang Xuan thought for a while and said to the 4, "I've decided to dig another tunnel in the bamboo house where the wanderers reside, so they can quickly escape to the foot of Stone Mountain in case of danger. Also, it would be best to set some traps in the forest on both sides of the tribe. Even if they don't harm the enemy, they can at least alert us and prevent a rushed response like today." Chi Shao said, "We follow your command, Chief." The 3 youngsters nodded in agreement, having grown to trust and admire Jiang Xuan greatly after so many events. Whatever the chief said, they would do. "All right, let's do it. Go Tung. Tomorrow you lead the wanderers to dig the tunnel, and the others will come with me to set the traps." After these matters were settled, Jiang Xuan finally breathed a sigh of relief. The food in the pottery cauldron was already cooked, and the 5 took their bowls and chopsticks to fill their stomachs, chatted for a while, and then went to sleep. South of the Vine tribe, and about a 3-day journey from it, amidst a range of mountains, was a newly settled tribe known as the Mosquito tribe. Where the Mosquito tribe resided, there was also a marshland vaster and wider than the marshland where Jiang Xuan encountered the whip tree. Insects love damp environments. Naturally, the Mosquito tribe, which takes the bird-beaked mosquito as its totem, also prefers such places. The food in the marshland was more abundant, and with the bird-beaked mosquito guarding it, they didn't have to worry about insect attacks. Such a place was very suitable for their habitation. The Mosquito tribe's houses were different from those of other tribes. Due to their very humid environment, they couldn't live directly on the ground, so they invented a house similar to a stilt house. This building was constructed along a mountain, with one side against the slope where a fire pit could be placed, while the other 3 sides were suspended, supported by pillars and stones, leaving the damp ground, making it more comfortable to live. Of course, the houses built by the Mosquito tribe were very primitive and crude, incomparable to those exquisite stilt houses, although their function was similar. At this moment, inside a central stilted wooden house of the Mosquito tribe, The atmosphere was extremely tense due to 3 bird-beak mosquitoes that had escaped from the vine tribe.